Bateman, Senator Gertz, Senator Little. All right, there we go. Senator Lavender, Selva Colvin.
Colvin was a summer senator.
Shh. Yeah, I believe Colvin was a summer senator. I think Shaler is in that seat. So Shaler, you are here. I saw him earlier. Senator Fahey, Rossi, and Mouget. Senator Fahey. All right, not here. All right. Oh, sorry, Shaler was not in that seat. Never mind. Okay, well, I'll go up at the end to make sure nobody's missing. Shaler is here, I believe. Senator Wilkinson, Promozic, England. Awesome. Promozic, there we go, England. Senator Wang, Hazlett, and Yanam. Senator Hazlett, just, okay. All right, Senator Hall. Oh, sorry, Senator Hall, Shanahan, and Easer. Shanahan is here. I apologize if I'm pronouncing your last names incorrectly. I'm trying. Senator Ryan, Brink, and okay. Senator Ryan. Give me a second. I have the wrong roster. My bad. I'm missing a few people, so I'm gonna. All right. Next, we have Senator. I ended at Shanahan. Okay. Senator Harman, me, I'm here. Senator Lecky, Sam, and Gonzalez. Lecky, Gonzalez. And Sam, he said he was moving. He's here. Senator Denton, Martin, and Adams. Martin. Adams, there we go. Senator Pendleton, Abston, Sohos. Pendleton. You can put your hand down once I've gotten you. Abston, Sohos. Sohos, I see. Abston, I got. Diaz, Ferguson, Mayman. Ferguson, got you. Diaz, Mayman. All right, Mayman is here. No Diaz. Dean, Pedroso, Ascanio. Pedroso, Dean, got you. Ascanio, just making sure. Rudolph, Medley, Nera, Darl Deek. Yeah, you're here. All right, Rudolph, Medley, Nera, got you guys. Tooks, Ross, and Chabot. Chabot is here. All right, got you, Tooks. And Ross, not here. All right. If you are here, you can always text me in the group me if I missed you, but I'll ask if anybody's missing at the end. Senator Kalink Lewis Alvarez. Alvarez here. Lewis here. All right. Next, we have Senator Waters, Stinson, and R. Gonzalez. Oh, Senator Ross is here. Thank you. All right. Stinson, I see you. Okay, there we go. And Senator Rudd and Senator Kill. Rudd is here. All right, give me a second to verify quorum. All right, with 38 senators, we do have quorum.
All right, awesome. Quorum was verified. Is there a motion to accept the journal from, it was July 15th, 2020? Senator Gonzalez,
So moved.
Senator Sohos.
So seconded.
All right, with that being said, are there any objections to the approval of the journal from July 15th, 2020? Seeing none, it has been approved. With that being said, we are now in student and non-budgeted RSO comments. I currently have 5 people on the list of wanting to speak. So we will go through that list of 5 individuals. And if anybody who is present on the call, who is a student who did not get an opportunity to speak, would like to, just raise your hand after those 5 people speak and I will give you an opportunity to do so. With that being said, we're going to start off with Natalie Diaz. Natalie Diaz, are you on the call? If you are on the call and I say your name, just please raise your hand so I can unmute you. All right, seeing that Natalie is not on the call, we will move to our next speaker, Shayna Cohen. You can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Hi, thank you. Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Shayna Cohen. I'm with the Torchlight Campus Policy Center. I coordinate the transparency branch as the Director of Legislative Affairs. A lot of you probably received an email from me this morning about both the efforts of Torchlight over the summer and specifically about the Land Acknowledgement Act. I encourage you to read the content, as always, that Torchlight produces, and I hope that the senators make sure that they're fully aware of the impact that the legislation that they consider has on the Student Government Association as a whole, on our relationship with Indigenous peoples, and our relationship with the administration. In addition to that, just speaking more broadly, I'm really committed to being as accessible as possible. So if you ever have any questions or concerns about Torchlight's content, about the things that we produce, about ways to request research or get involved with us, you can always reach out to me or talk to our Director, Patrick Martin. That being said, I hope that you have an enjoyable and productive Senate, and I welcome all of you back who are away over the summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Shayna. With that being said, we'll go to our next speaker, Jack Rowan. Jack, could you please raise your hand? Thank you, Jack. You can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. President. This summer has laid the faults of student government bare. In the course of just the last month, we have watched 3 different episodes in which officers of student government have decided to make decisions based on personal reasons instead of the good of the student body. Oh. Just realized my mic was off. Sorry. Thank you, Mr. President.
You're good. You're good. We can hear you, man. But you can go ahead.
This summer has laid the faults of student government bare. In the course of just the last month, we have watched 3 different episodes in which officers of student government have decided to make decisions based on personal reasons instead of the good of the student body. Let's start with the past. Last week, the Senate President took the unprecedented step of rearranging the Senate committees prior to the beginning of the fall Senate. This overhaul represents a brazen attempt to consolidate the power of the Senate President. Students have had to watch on in horror as a senator embroiled in an upcoming Supreme Court case will be given a committee vote on the appointees for the court. If you open the dictionary to conflict of interest, this episode is the definition and example. As outlined in Rule 5.1 of the Senate rules, you, the senators, should reject this attempt to reverse the rules and make the Senate the servant of the presidency. Now let's look at the present. Tonight, the Senate will have to deal with the aftermath of President Levin's veto of the Land Acknowledgement Act. One only has to glance at the veto statement to see the disconnect between this statement and any logic. The president's statement notes a court case that involves the speech of individual citizens. statement completely neglects the fact that this bill deals with the speech of government officials in their official capacity. The legal reasonings in this statement are worth as much as the paper that it is printed on and deserves to be thrown into the trash by the Senate. The future is the most troubling of all. Judiciary issued 2 separate subpoenas against President Levin in order to determine whether he had threatened the elected members of the Senate over votes. Both of these subpoenas were responded to with dithering and delay. Once again, the president's brilliant legal minds produced a masterstroke in rationalizing a blatant violation of the student body statutes and the constitutional principles of checks and balances. This time, the paper might have been worth more. This explanation tried to demand that those accusers who sought to protect their identity for fear of retribution must unmask themselves. This demand is worrisome, as we see the student body president follow in the obstructive footsteps of the US president. The Senate cannot in good faith allow these violations of statutes and of the Constitution to continue without any recourse. This body is in a perfect position to use their extraordinary powers to hold the student body president to account, even if it requires going to the constitutional extremes. It is evident by the actions of SGA's senior leadership that they do not care for the students of FSU. They care purely for the preservation of their power. This is not the way SGA should be run. There must be a change. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Jack. We'll be going on to our next comment, which would be John Alvarez. Alvarez, you on the call with us? There you are. And you may begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you. I have a prepared statement. My name is John Raymond Alvarez, and I'm here to speak on my own behalf. I acknowledge that Florida State University is located on land that is the ancestral and traditional territory of the Appalachian Nation, the Muskogee Creek Nation, the Miccosukee Tribe of Florida, and the Seminole Tribe of Florida. I pay respect to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to their descendants, to the generations not yet born, and to all Indigenous people. I recognize that this land remains scarred by the histories and ongoing legacies of settler colonial violence, dispossession, and removal. In spite of all this, and with tremendous resilience, these Indigenous nations have remained deeply connected to this territory, to their families, to their communities, and to their cultural ways of life. I recognize the ongoing relationships of care that these Indigenous nations maintain with this land, and extend my gratitude as I live and work as a humble and respectful guest upon their territory. I encourage you to learn about and amplify the contemporary work of the Indigenous nations whose land you are on, and to support Indigenous sovereignty in all the ways that you can. What I just read was the Indigenous Land Acknowledgement Statement written by Dr. Kristen Dowell, an Associate Professor of Art History here at Florida State University, who received her PhD in anthropology from NYU in 2006 and has been working directly with and among Indigenous communities for almost 2 decades. This statement also serves as the policy of the FSU Fine Arts Department, and recently a plaque of this statement has been commissioned for commemoration at the FSU Museum of Fine Arts. In seeing this, I saw it fitting, in consultation with Decolonize FSU, to propose that the Student Government Association take similar steps towards justice with the Indigenous peoples who have historic claims to the land that FSU sits on, and I proposed Bill 93 during my summer term as a senator. Bill 93 passed unanimously in an unprecedented number of 3 separate standing committees, and passed with only 1 dissenting vote when it was received on the Senate floor. Each time of its consideration, its cultural, historical, and functional effects were dissected and recognized and agreed to. Following extensive conversation with the student body attorney general, I was informed that the student body president was to veto this bill, signed with a letter addressed to be, quote, in Seminole pride, unquote. The veto was formulated on 3 main critiques, which I'm sure you, the members of the Senate, have already read and will hear repeated again soon by the president during his oral justification of the veto. I, however, have found that all 3 aspects fall flat, and I therefore request that the Senate utilize their constitutional authority to override this veto. First, the president and attorney general claim that the Supreme Court case West Virginia State Board of Education versus Barnett and the legal concept of compelled speech make Bill 93 unconstitutional. What they have failed to understand with that case, as with any other case regarding compelled speech, where they are correct in their assertion that the government cannot compel, force, or otherwise coerce any private citizen into any form of speech, as that would be a flagrant violation of the First Amendment. And if that were the case for any bill, I would hope that the Senate would fail such a tyrannical concept before the president would need to utilize their power of a veto. But I knew this wholeheartedly while writing Bill 93. I knew that such concerns also do not apply when it is the government speaking on its own behalf and compelling government officers to speak or act in their official capacity as private servants, bound to the laws they swore to uphold. In several distinct United States Supreme Court cases, the doctrine of government speech permits, and I'm quoting from the Cornell Legal Law Information Institute, permits when the government speaks, the government is not barred by the free speech clause of the First Amendment from determining the content of what it says. Specifically, this doctrine is separate from the idea of compelled speech and has been affirmed in the Supreme Court through the cases such as Rust v. Sullivan, Johans versus Livestock Management Association, and most importantly, Garcetti v. Ceballos, which held in a majority opinion that, quote, when public employees make statements pursuant to their official duties, the employees are not speaking as citizens for First Amendment purposes. And speech that owes its existence to a public employee's professional responsibilities does not infringe any liberties the employee might have enjoyed as a private citizen, unquote. Furthermore, the Supreme Court found only a few months ago in McGirt v. Oklahoma that it is indeed mandatory, not optional, for state governments to recognize and acknowledge the sovereignty of the indigenous nations on whose land they reside and the treaties that allot their current reservations. So I ask, why is it impermissible for a state university student government to do the same through words of solidarity when we are not able to do so through actions of decolonization? In practice, the mandate in the Indigenous Land Acknowledgement Act would serve just the same as any other preliminary meeting requirements that are set up for student government officers in Statute Chapter 203, such as mandating the writing of minutes, the posting of announcements 24 hours prior to a meeting on the student government website, and making space available for public comment. It would be a ministerial act limited only to student government meetings held as defined by that chapter. Second, the president claims that the leaders of the student government were not consulted, and that the lasting effects of this bill would lead to our agencies and bureaus inadvertently violating statutes after it would come into effect. Had the president reached out to me about this concern, I could have easily reminded him that the proviso article of Bill 93 states that the bill would not have come into effect until October 12th, 2020, 3 months after its passage from the Senate, and that had the bill been signed and had the clock begun to start ticking towards its application, members of the student government would have begun encouraging not only our student government associate organizations, but the student body at large towards an Indigenous Peoples Day celebration on October 12th, with the enactment of Bill 93 being one of the primary focuses. And beyond that, every instance of communication I have had with student government or RSO leaders about utilization of land acknowledgement has been positive, including, and arguably most importantly, the mandate existing as an assurance that the message of the land acknowledgement will not be placed in the wayside in years to come, as other optional practices have. I struggle to see the rationale to find that a minute-long recitation of a culturally impactful statement would be in any way an obstruction to the positive work that our student government leaders do every single day. And not only that, the executive branch had ample opportunity over the course of the time that Bill 93 was in consideration to make their concerns known, as rather than it being assigned to only 1 or 2 committees, as most bills are, Bill 93 was present and heard at 3 separate committees over the course of its consideration, as well as its 4th and final consideration on the Senate floor. And yet, while the president, vice president, and attorney general were all present at both the meeting of the Judiciary Committee on July 15th, in order to speak at great length and with great detail over their opposition to a constitutional amendment that was being openly proposed with the intention of being a joke, they were completely silent during the consideration of Bill 93, where the purpose of the mandate was mentioned both in opening, questioned during roundtable, and agreed upon by unanimous consent of the committee. And again, when they were present at the Senate on July 15th, the same questions regarding the mandate being raised on the floor with the same answers from the sponsor. The executive branch did not seem to have issue when it was then passed again with only 1 dissenting vote. Lastly, the president claims that the bill was not written with the immediate notice of the FSU administration or to the Seminole Tribe of Florida, and therefore it cannot be considered and should not be placed into practice by the student government. I ask, why did the administration not intervene when the Fine Arts Department and the Museum of Fine Arts adopted their own Indigenous land acknowledgement statement? Why did the university not interfere and strike down Indigenous land acknowledgements that are being placed and utilized right now in the syllabuses of multiple professors at our university? Why is a new and undemocratic standard being placed on the Student Senate and wishing to respect the shared histories of not just the Seminole Tribe of Florida, but other federally recognized Indigenous nations and tribes associated with the land that the university resides on? While I was the author of the bill, I was not the author of the statements themselves. The statements were verbatim adopted from those statements already in use and being utilized by entities of the university. In the last decade, and I want to emphasize this, in the last 10 years of the Student Senate, and I've checked several times, the Senate has only twice stood up for the Indigenous community. First, when the Senate passed Resolution 15 in the 68th Student Senate, condemning the racist use of headdresses by non-Indigenous students at FSU sporting events, and again, adopting Resolution 25 during the 69th Senate after the death of the former chairman of the Tribal Council of the Seminole Tribe of Florida in order to commemorate his work for the people of his tribe. Aside from those two, the Senate has time and time again failed bills and resolutions seeking to go beyond the university's blank statement of us having a special relationship with the Seminole Tribe of Florida. When senators wish to stand up in solidarity alongside the numerous tribes and nations opposing the illegally constructed Dakota Access Pipeline, the Senate failed it in committee. When resolutions simply stating that the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma exists and should be recognized for their input alongside the Seminole Tribe of Florida when the university utilizes Seminole imagery, and in addition to that, the FSU administration going so far as to cancel meetings with representatives from the General Council of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma when they visited our university to speak, the Senate struck those down as well. So I say to you, the Senate, action should not be placed on the back burner for the sake of unnecessary dialogue. This bill has already been through the runner of public presentation and dissection, and the practice of land acknowledgement is already present and here on this campus. To wait any longer or to concede any further ground to the failures of a system that refuses to act on the behalf of Indigenous peoples would be a mistake by this Senate and by this administration. In this moment, those who are seeking justice and change aren't looking for more meetings. They're looking for action. They aren't looking for complacency and hand-wringing over niceties. They're looking for results. So I urge you, senators, take this forward step. Begin the uncomfortable dialogue that the university refuses to have. I urge you to stand up for your constitutional right as the legislative branch to stand by your precedent. I urge you, take action where there has only been empty words. I urge you, the 72nd Student Senate at Florida State University, please override this veto and enact the Student Government Indigenous Land Acknowledgement Act of 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, Alvarez. With that being said, we will now go to our final speaker on the list of people who filled out the public comment form, which will be Majida Nanda. Majida, whenever you're ready, you may go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm here today to echo a lot of things that John Alvarez just said, and I firstly would like to thank him for taking the initiative to create this bill and reaching out to me and my classmates at Deaconess FSU. I would like to thank all of the senators, all 37 who advanced this bill unanimously 3 times and even attempted to advance it unanimously on the Senate floor. I think the 500 followers of Deaconess FSU, when we began this journey, we never expected this type of support and feedback and everything like this. And so I think honestly for for people who might be unfamiliar, I have to go back to the beginning, and that is the reason that we created this Instagram account, Decolonize FSU. And it really began as an assignment. It was a group project for our class, Decolonizing the Museum, with the incredible professor, Dr. Kristen Dowell. And the class focused on decolonial theory. It focused on ways that we can change museums as colonial institutions, how we can apply that to our future practices as museum professionals. But it didn't stop there, because that's nothing. That is bare surface level. We had an assignment called the decolonial intervention. And so we had to take everything that we were learning, and we needed to apply it into something tangible. And the thing that me and my classmates, Sarah Cannon and Romina Palmiro, one is an alumni now, what we all had in common is that we wanted to bring our decolonial intervention to the students, to the general student body, because we felt that not enough students at this school know the history of the land we are on, and even know the history of the people that we use iconography of, and the people that we claim to be. We claim to be Seminoles. So that's why we decided to create Decolonize FSU. We had a lot of different plans. It was going to be social media. It was going to be tabling on Landis and really trying to interact with people. And obviously COVID changed that, and it changed our outlook on everything. So it was completely virtual. And so the entire purpose of Decolonize FSU was education. And the entire purpose of it was maybe in the future working with senators, working with SGA, and we could have them develop adopt a land acknowledgement. And that did get, it didn't happen in the spring. And I think that it was because of COVID and because of all of the, every restriction that we had, but I also think that it, should have happened, because then Senator John Alvarez was the one who took that initiative and said that he already wrote a bill and he wanted us to look at it and consult with him and things like that. And so that is how Decolonize FSU started. And it all started as education. And that's me coming here today. I'm speaking to you as a non-Native person, as someone who is not Indigenous. Our whole goal was education. And I just think that is what this veto was lacking. This veto was lacking a lot of substance. It was lacking a lot of knowledge on the subject. And that is knowledge that Decolonize FSU had readily available. And I'm thankful for the 37 senators who did take that upon themselves to understand why land acknowledgements are important and understand the reasoning behind it, and they understood it, and they took that and they voted to pass it. And if there's anything that I have learned this entire summer about the climate that we are in, reckoning with our past and with our histories, and trying to acknowledge it and trying to do better in the future, is that none of it will be convenient or easy. And I do truly believe that it is not that much of an inconvenience for SGA and for agencies and for affiliates to be able to take this land acknowledgement, delegate who and when it will be said, and where it will be said, and put that into action. I do not think it is that difficult. And honestly, it's the bare minimum. There was a comment made at the Senate meeting in July on the floor that this is surface level activism, and I fairly agree with that. This is the first step, and the fact that we as students at Florida State University, with who our symbol is, with who our relationship with the Seminole Tribe of Florida is, that we have to even be taking this first step 15 years after we got written permission to be using the icons that we do, I think that's very disappointing. I think this has been a long time coming. And so I'm not surprised that it did really get the feedback that it did, and it got the support that it did, because I think we recognize that this is what is needed. And it was very, very disappointing when the veto came, though. It was very disappointing. And that is why I'm here today, to urge you to overturn it. And I'm also wanting to give you maybe a little bit more facts that you didn't know. In 2005, when President T.K. Weatherall accepted the resolution from the Seminole Tribe of Florida, giving permission for use of the Seminole imagery, he also made certain promises. And these promises included building an authentic Cheeky at the lakeside property called the Reservation, promises to construct a museum called the Center for Seminole Heritage and Culture on campus, promises that the use of Chief Osceola and other icons will be used in educational ways. And I certainly don't see any of those promises fulfilled. I'm a museum studies minor. I do not see that museum cultural center on this campus. I do not see a Native American studies major on this campus. And you cannot tell me that the person who puts on red face at every single football game is the best representative of the Seminole tribe. I don't know if my logic is enough, but I sincerely hope that some of you have read submissions by anonymous platforms such as Dear Florida State and Minorities at FSU, where Native students have only felt comfortable to be able to submit their opinions and their experiences anonymously. I would love to read some of them for you today. This one from Dear Florida State says, as a Native American student on your campus, it is extremely upsetting that we are not given any recognition besides our culture being used as a logo and a mascot to entertain the crowd at football games. As I chose to attend FSU, I was shocked that they did not have anything honoring the Native lands they are on, and that there wasn't more education about the Seminole tribe. It is upsetting to me that students can wear the logo of a Seminole, yet know nothing about the history of the tribe. It is also extremely offensive to refer to homecoming events like powwow. I really wish that there was a space for other Native American students to come together so that we could inform and teach others about their culture and history. And that was signed by a student who will be graduating in the in the spring of 2021. And on that note as well, there is no union, there's no association for Native students on this campus because they've never been a registered RSO. And the fact that that's not a priority is also very disappointing. The American Indian Student Association has not been a registered RSO, and their social media has been inactive since 2017. Additionally, this submission by Minorities at FSU states, I think the problem at FSU is that nobody seems to care about the land. I have to watch some blonde, blue-eyed guy dress up in brown face with a black wig and walk around the stadium with a stern face. And every time I watch Osceola ride into the field, it feels like I'm watching that one Indian scene from Peter Pan. It's embarrassing that as a Native Seminole, that everyone thinks I'm Mexican because of the color of my skin. And they say stupid things to me when they find out I'm an Indian. It's very telling when you have to read these, and that's why I wanted to read them in front of you today, just in case you hadn't seen them. If I've done my research wrong, I'd love for someone to correct me, but there's never been a Native or Indigenous student who's held the office of student senator of anything within student government. And I think that if we continue to push this narrative that we have this healthy relationship, we have a very inclusive environment on this campus, when so blatantly Native and Indigenous students are not included in that narrative, how can we continue to tout Seminole pride? I would really like to point everyone to this line from the 2018 Presidential Advisory Board after the investigation into the origin of the Epps statue, and it says a more complete and historically accurate recognition of the university's founders, the participation of slavery in the construction of the university, and the Seminole tribe or other First Nation people should be prioritized by FSU and its leadership. Did you know that Tallahassee is a Muskogee word and that it means old town? So we live in Tallahassee and we drive on Appalachia Parkway. We call ourselves Seminoles, and Natives do not even feel like they belong on this land, in this space. I think that all of these are telling, and that's why I like to bring up the line from the Presidential Advisory Board, because at this point, right now, you are one of our leadership. You are part of our leadership. And so you have the responsibility to make that your priority, to override this veto. And I know that you already passed it in July, and I'm sorry that you have to now override it again. But that is what I am urging you to do today, because I implore everyone to ask themselves what it would take for there to be a major culture shift on this campus. I think the line that everyone likes to go back to is like, oh, but we have a relationship in writing from 15 years ago. But why does it have to take people pleading and saying this is what we want? Why can't we take initiative ourselves? And that is something that I think a lot of people grasp. I think 500 followers on Decones FSU were able to grasp. And I think that's something that is very simple and first step that we can all do. Because if there is anything that a land acknowledgement does, it is supposed to be the opening the door to more action, because a land acknowledgement is great. It is respectful. It is something that disrupts the status quo of this space that we exist in. And that is very good. But we chose a land acknowledgement on purpose because it is supposed to be followed by action and steps. And I really am so proud to see that so many people are adopting land acknowledgements. The AASU and the WSU have already integrated land acknowledgements into their meetings and into their agencies, and I see them doing that even more now. I know that Peace Jam Southeast does so. I know that University Housing does so, and I received so many pictures of professors' syllabi once the semester started of land acknowledgements they adapted themselves. And so that is why I look at the veto that says we need to go through FSU administration and jump through all of these hoops for how we can adopt a land acknowledgement, yet everyone can do it. It is something that is so accessible and something that you just need to educate yourself on and write yourself, and it is respectful and it is disrupting the status quo, like we should all be doing. Because if there's anything that we need to be doing, it is inserting Native and Indigenous people back into the narrative. And so that's why I'm here today, to ask if we should just remain comfortable, if we should just say, okay, well, it already happened, so we should just leave it as it is. And I don't think that's right. I think that we all should know at this point that the comfortable things aren't always the right things to do. So I wholly urge the senators who are here today to please overturn the veto of Bill 93, and I thank you for giving me your time today.
Thank you so much, Majida, for coming today and sharing, your story and your experience. I know I heard you. So with that being said, if there are any other students who wish to make a public comment, please raise your hand. We have 3 individuals. We will be starting. You can go ahead, Jake.
All right, can you all hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Whenever you're ready.
So I'd just first like to start off and say thank you to the Senate tonight for not intruding on our free speech. You as the Senate in the summer have a job. In any time, you senators have a job, and just to listen to your constituents in any matter whatsoever. It doesn't matter if you don't like what we're saying. We have a constitutional right from the First Amendment of the United States Constitution to talk about whatever we want without being censored. It doesn't matter what your stance on any particular issue is. You have a duty as senators to listen to us. And the fact that whenever there was a major issue brought to the table in a Senate meeting, that our free speech would be limited, that is just unacceptable. And I appreciate the summer senator, or the current senators right now, for actually listening to their constituents and listening to very important issues tonight. This summer was a roller coaster for everybody involved. I can say that personally, it was a roller coaster for myself. If you've been living under a rock, you obviously wouldn't know, but just to re-educate everyone, there were many different issues, 2 different issues that were brought to the Senate regarding both respective, the past and the current Senate president in their discriminatory remarks on social media or in private. Obviously, if you've seen the news, former President Jack Denton is bringing a suit against the university, the Student Senate President, and the Student Senate President Pro Tem. I wish them all the best in that. I know that is something that nobody should ever have to go through. However, it's very disappointing to see that as a Jewish student, the Student Senate President apologized for the passage of a resolution that merely says that Jewish students need to have more representation and that anti-Semitism is wrong on campuses everywhere. Apologizing shows your true colors. And I would also like to add the fact that at the beginning, you have a smirk on your face right now, but I'm being serious. I would also like to add at the beginning of the meeting, you said that disrespect is not tolerated in these chambers. May I remind you that you disrespected 2 state representatives by not letting them speak, as well as the student body president, by not allowing them to speak and not having free speech and making up your own rules and your own precedents just so that you could get your way. I hope you see the hypocrisy in that. Second, I would like to formally say thank you to Rawana Pari. You did what the student senate president did not, and you reached out and you started a conversation. We are in the process of starting dialogue. And Rawan, even though we may have our cultural, personal differences, I appreciate you greatly for starting that dialogue that is most important and that I personally would love to have with anybody who would want to. I would also like to mention the fact that the Jewish Student Union requested a liaison to the Senate and was refused by the Student Senate president. If you are looking at your screen right now and you're seeing the Student Senate president laughing or smirking, it just shows his true colors. So tonight I'm urging you all, do the right thing. I'm gonna be here every week. I'm gonna tell you, do the right thing, whether it be tonight, whether it be in a couple weeks, whether it be in October, whether it be in the spring. Do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Jake. Always a pleasure. With that being said, we'll be moving on to our next speaker, which is Patrick Martin. You can go ahead whenever you're ready, Patrick.
All right. Good evening, Senate. I'll be speaking first in a personal capacity, and then I will be speaking in my capacity as the director of the Torchlight Campus Policy Center. I sincerely hope with the, it's in my understanding of Senate procedure that you have the ability to amend this legislation before you hopefully pass it again. And I would assume that at this point in time, you would try to find a way that to rectify the things that President Levin pointed out in his veto. Some of them I find kind of valid, some not. And again, this in a personal capacity, but I want to see this passed. I know you all do too, which is why you voted to pass it last time. And so I know you guys can get this through. This is the first step. This is basic level work. I mean, I remember coming to FSU and learning the fight song, and Scalp Them Seminoles is a legit, like it's part of the fight song. It's not something that like drunk frat dudes do on the side, because they do their own insane, stuff. It is, like we make this whole talk about how the way that we use Seminole imagery is, we have our thumbs up from the Seminole tribe and from the representatives. Sure, that's great. But some things like that, I'm like, okay, really? Like Scalp Them Seminoles, like, come on, that's not. And the fact that we call our 76-acre property on Lake Bradford the reservation, there could be the conversation that there could be a right way to honor the Seminole tribe and use their image in a proud and educated way. Sure. The way that we're doing it right now, I don't think is that. There's a long way to go, and so I'm happy to see from the Senate that there is some movement on that. So I'm gonna transition out. Speaking in my capacity as the director of the Torchlight Campus Policy Center, I want to welcome you all to the new school year. I'm very excited to work with the Senate. Torchlight is, we make the Senate more transparent in the way that we put all of your voting records on our database. For any bill or resolution that you vote on, those are recorded on our database. And so anytime a student can go on there and look at your voting history. So please, students could always do that, but we put that information in a more easily accessible way, trying to mirror as closely as possible the Florida legislature's Sunshine Law website. Let's see. And we are also encouraging the Senate to submit research requests. There are always conversations about legislation and about policy in the Senate that students might sometimes find uninformed or misinformed, or maybe you just genuinely have a question about what's going on campus. If you wanted to know how many students identify as Native American, we have that number. If you want to find out how that number has changed over the past 10 years, we have that number. If you want to figure out which college has more or less representation of that race or any other race that we track, we have that information. Ask for it. It's all yours. And we want this to be a productive relationship between the Senate and Torchlight. We have about 33 or 34 super talented students, and I'm excited to work with each and every one of them, and they're looking forward to research requests that you have to put in. Furthermore, Senate President Daraldic, in a letter, I forget the date, in response to the controversy after his anti-Semitic behaviors became public, he promised 3 initiatives, and I'm forgetting exactly what they are, but my staff in the transparency branch is tracking those, tracking his completion of those, and evaluating whether they were successful or not. And so we're working out the timetable of exactly when we should expect to see those from him. And I think that is it for me. Okay, so once again, welcome to a new school year. And let's see, I'm so sorry, one more thing. No, that's it. Okay, all right. I'm looking forward to our relationship that we build over the coming year, and we will be recording how you all vote tonight. So thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Patrick, for coming. With that being said, we have our last hand raised, which is Karen Bard. If anybody else would like to speak after Karen, please raise your hand. And if you don't do so, we'll be moving on after Karen. Whenever you're ready, Karen, you can go ahead. You able to unmute yourself?
Can you hear me? You good?
Yeah, you can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay, sorry about that. First, I want to say welcome back, Senators. I hope that you enjoyed whatever there was to enjoy at the end of our summer/quarantine. As you may or may not know, my name is Karen Bard. I am the president and refounder of the Jewish Student Union, and I am so excited that I've had the opportunity to work with some of you already and to work with those of you who were not around for Summer Senate, even though I was communicating with some of you via email. I just want to thank you all for your support and your advocacy over the last several weeks and months, and want to remind you that my door is always open, and I am really enjoying the open communication and conversations that have already been started and look forward to continuing them. On that note, I can be reached via email at jsupresident@fsu@gmail.com. So that's that. And I just want to mention that we had our first GBM last night, and it was really, really fun. We look forward to sharing advertisements and announcements with you for future events. And if you would like to communicate us with in any capacity, again, I said my email, and you can follow us at FSU JSU on pretty much every social media platform. Additionally, I am extremely excited and really looking forward to the appointment of the JSU liaison, which I know is soon to come. And yeah, I just wanted to introduce myself again, touch base, thank you all for your support, and just say I am looking forward to working with you all again.
All right, thank you, Karen. Is there any other students or non-budgeted RSO comments? And if there is any, please raise your hand so that I can recognize you. All right, seeing none, we'll be moving into the special introduction and announcements part of tonight. And we actually have one speaker. It'll be Dr. Kristen Dowell. She's she's a part of the FSU Art History Department here, and she is currently an associate professor of contemporary Native American art and film. Dr. Dowell, if you're present, could you please raise your hand so I can unmute you?
All right, great.
Hey, Dr.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm really honored to be here to speak with you, and excited to have this chance to talk a little bit about land acknowledgements and the role that they play in terms of helping to build an inclusive and supportive environment here at FSU. I'm a settler scholar, deeply committed to a decolonial research and teaching practice that centers and amplifies the work of Indigenous filmmakers and artists with whom I've collaborated for close to 20 years now. And my ongoing work in decolonizing pedagogy is anchored in relationships with my collaborators, and specifically with Indigenous elders who've so generously shared their time, stories, and knowledge with me. And those are the folks that hold me accountable in the work that I do. I've been a professor for 15 years and taught at 4 different universities and in the US, and have extensive experience with universities in Canada as well. I've been at FSU for 5 years, but prior to that, I spent 7 years at the University of Oklahoma, where I was an anthropology professor, but also an affiliate professor in the Native American Studies program there. So I mentored Native American students there. I served weekly dinners for students in the American Indian Student Fellowship Organization. I've also worked with the Smithsonian's National Museum of the American Indian and served as a curator at several Native film festivals, including as co-founder and primary curator for the Native Crossroads Film Festival at the University of Oklahoma. So it's from these professional and personal experiences that I want to speak about the damaging impacts of the profound invisibility that Native Americans face within universities and within the wider public discourse in the US. So research from the 2018 Reclaiming Native Truth Project, which you can see the document of on Illuminatives, which is an Indigenous-run nonprofit organization. The executive director is Crystal Echohawk, who's a member of the Ponca Nation. That research revealed that 72% of Americans rarely encounter or receive information about Native Americans. And this research also identified that the K-12 education system is a key driver of invisibility and false narratives about Native Americans, finding that 87% of state history standards do not mention Native American history after 1900, and 27 states make no mention of a single Native American in their K-12 curriculum. So given these systemic erasures, it's no surprise to me that many non-Indigenous students enter university classrooms with little knowledge of and exposure to Native American and Indigenous history, but also contemporary current social issues and key things like tribal sovereignty. Most people don't understand about tribal sovereignty. So for instance, how many students at FSU know, as Majda pointed out, that Tallahassee is a Muskogee Creek word, and that the Muskogee connections to this place are so strong that even after surviving removal and dispossession, which came to be known as the Trail of Tears, today in Oklahoma, over 180 years later, there is a Muskogee tribal town and church that still bears the name Tallahassee. How many people are aware that place names like Appalachie Bay and streets like Appalachie Parkway reflect that this is traditional Appalachie land, and Appalachie descendants still continue to live today in the state of Louisiana, but still come back here to Tallahassee to maintain their ceremonies and to connect with this place. So I found that one of the most powerful ways to disrupt these settler colonial erasures and invisibility is to bring Indigenous perspectives, stories, and voices into the classroom and university life. Land acknowledgements are a first step in bringing visibility for Native Americans to the forefront. And I say first step because land acknowledgements are at their core a call to action and a commitment to learn more. It's a commitment to educate oneself. And it's also an ongoing set of relationships. So it really should be about facilitating and fostering that connection between the university and the Native nations whose land this is on. It's a powerful step that universities can engage in to create a more inclusive and welcoming environment for Native American and Indigenous students, while also educating the wider public and all students on the campus. Jamison Lowry, who's a citizen of the Lumbee tribe of North Carolina and an undergraduate student leading the call for UNC Chapel Hill to create an official land acknowledgement, describes a land acknowledgement as a way for Native Americans to feel seen on UNC's campus, proclaiming, quote, "There's a level of action behind land acknowledgements because the first step is making sure that you put it out there to talk about the history and to give voice to Native students on campus," end quote. Jasmine Gurneau, manager of Northwestern University's Native American and Indigenous initiatives and member of the Oneida Menominee Nation, echoes Lowry's statements, declaring that, quote, "Land acknowledgements serve to disrupt invisibility and ongoing erasure of Native Americans," end quote. So land acknowledgements are central to my research ethics and to decolonizing the classroom. I'm a non-Indigenous person who's worked collaboratively with Indigenous communities. So it's an obligation on my part as a settler scholar to engage in this practice. I always give a verbal land acknowledgement on the first day of class and repeat it throughout the semester. I include it on course syllabi and in my Canvas course sites. I have it on my personal faculty webpage, and we just recently were able to have a departmental land acknowledgement on the art history webpage as well. I've been doing this for years, and I will continue to do it. It is a verbal disruptor. It's a bringing to the fore Indigenous sovereignty and acknowledging those ongoing relationships to land and the continued presence of Indigenous people. And it's exciting to see that there is momentum building across campus. So I do think you will see the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Office is interested in adding the land acknowledgement to their webpage. You know, what are land acknowledgements and why are they important? Land acknowledgements are respectful actions. They're rooted actually in Indigenous cultural protocols intended to express gratitude to the host Indigenous nations whose land you're visiting. They honor Indigenous nations whose territory one is on by disrupting this legacy of erasure enacted by settler colonialism. Land acknowledgements speak to the resilience, the continued presence of Indigenous nations who are still here, continuing to thrive today. By including an acknowledgement at the beginning of Student Senate business or before a presentation or public event, you can insert an awareness of contemporary Indigenous presence and land rights and create a more supportive environment for Native American and Indigenous students on this campus. Land acknowledgements are common in universities and cultural institutions across the US, Canada, and Australia. In fact, if you look at the top 25 public universities, of which FSU is very proud to say we currently rank number 18, 63% of these universities already have a land acknowledgement on their websites and regularly use land acknowledgement as part of their public events, which is to say that the majority of our benchmark and peer institutions are already proactive with regard to land acknowledgements. Many other universities in this list, if they don't already have one, they're currently working on it, and a lot of those initiatives are student-driven. All 8 Ivy League universities have a land acknowledgement, and many other academic and museum institutions across the US actively use land acknowledgements. I myself saw firsthand a successful student-led initiative at the University of Oklahoma pass a bill similar to Bill 93, which you will be considering voting to overturn the veto today. All of this is to say that this is actually a widely common practice, and it's in line with other initiatives, and I would love to see other initiatives beyond land acknowledgements. I would love to see a Native American student organization. I want to see supports for Native students on campus. I would love to see more courses being offered and a wider general awareness and education for students to learn about the complexity, the diversity. We have 574 federally recognized tribes and 63 state recognized tribes in this country. It's incredibly rich, dynamic set of Native nations to learn about. And I really hope that there are additional opportunities in the future to take additional action beyond land acknowledgements. But this is it's a first step. It's a good place to begin. We're at a pivotal moment right now, and you are standing on the edge of a historical shift. It's never the wrong time to do the right thing. You have an opportunity to be leaders in this moment. And in fact, I think the 37 senators that signed on to this bill have demonstrated leadership. You have the opportunity to model respectful relationships between universities and Native American and Indigenous communities, and to forge a more inclusive future and culturally responsive environment right here at FSU. To my knowledge, none of the public universities in the state of Florida currently have a land acknowledgement. So Bill 93 made history here in Florida, and its passage by an overwhelming majority of your senators, speaks to the wide support of this bill. What legacy do you want to leave for future generations of FSU students? Your voice and your vote are powerful, and you can make a difference on this campus, and I'm proud to witness this historical moment. So I thank you for your time and for allowing me the opportunity to share these comments with you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dowell, for your powerful words. I truly believe that that would help, the senators understand what, this entails. So thank you for your comments. With that being said, we have no other special introductions and announcements. So we will be moving forward into messages from the executive branch. So President Levin, if you can raise your hand and if anybody else would like to speak. But before you go ahead and speak, I did want to make sure, Jonathan, at this time, you must deliver your oral justification to the Student Senate for the reasons of the veto for Bill 93 as well as Bill 26. And beyond that, after you give those justifications, you may make any other announcements that you please. So with that being said, you can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Senate President Dardeek, and good evening, Senate. Just real quick, I think Christian and Tazi are also on here, so if you want, just in the meantime, you can unmute them as well. So for the first veto, I believe it was 26, between me and the sponsor, we have discussed this veto. We were both on the same page. We met with the leadership of the student conduct, those who wrote the code, those who enforce the code, and believe that the legislation itself would not really benefit the student body. And we both believe that it'd be better to amend it here tonight and actually remove the university defender position if you choose to do so as a student senate. Senator Adamy can go into further detail. You can reference my veto as far as that. Specifically on the veto that's been on topic this evening, I want to make it very clear from the very beginning. We said this at the town hall. I've said this to multiple senators in conversations that I've had. Myself, Nastasia, Christian, the executive branch, we are not against this Land Acknowledgement Act. All right, I'm going to say that one more time. We are not against this Land Acknowledgement Act. We are not against making relationship with or benefiting or furthering the indigenous people and the community that we have at all whatsoever, period. We're not against it. The concerning parts of the bill specifically were the three major things that I pointed out in the veto, and I will point out once again here tonight. Okay, it is not the language. It is not the fact that we're going to acknowledge it. I'm going to say that one more time. The first main point that we see as an issue is the mandating versus encouragement. I do not believe, or we do not believe, you can or should mandate any type of speech. That's where nowhere else in our statutes is any type of speech mandated. The only type of speech that's mandated for the student senate, to the best of my knowledge, is the Pledge of Allegiance, I so believe, and that is based off the calendar, the Senate calendar. So if that's something the Senate wants to do, feel free. And I'm not in the legislative branch, right? The biggest thing is I do not believe that outside of this body, can the body mandate something to be said at every single SGA meeting and event, okay? And if we disagree on that, that's fine, but that's still our opinion. The second thing is that there were no conversations with other SGA organizations, bureaus, agencies, affiliated projects, et cetera, et cetera. The fact that the statement was brought up earlier that first you're going to pass it, forcing people to say it, and then you're going to tell them about it, then you're going to have the conversations, that's working backwards. The conversations with those people within SGA that are being affected first need to happen so that their opinions can be taken into consideration, and then the decision can be made. And lastly, the conversation with the Seminole Tribe. We still as the executive branch believe that conversation needs to happen. I've offered in multiple occasions to set up a meeting with the representative, FSU's representatives of the Seminole Tribe, and even with the leadership of the Seminole Tribe themselves. We can still make that happen. If anybody wants to make that happen, email me and we will. On our own, we have already started those conversations. Everywhere for ensuring if COVID reduces its numbers, to ensuring we can go to Brighton Field Day so we can see truly the culture of the Seminole Tribe, to having a town hall with the Seminole Tribe leadership, to working with the representative chiefs, the Chief Auxiliary that rides during the football games that was mentioned multiple times. And we've already had conversations about the renaming of the res that all three of us talked about. And that was 2 months ago. But it takes these conversations in order to enact change, in order to change a culture. Okay, so do not believe things could be mandated. That is why we stated at the very end of the argument, at the end of the veto, we would fully support, and I think this was stated earlier by Patrick, an amendment that changes the word mandate to recommend. Conversation with other SGA entities, I believe, should happen, as well as with the Seminole Tribe, the people we are representing as FSU Seminoles. Okay, so there is more information. I went into more detail during the town hall. We all did. Before we move on to additional updates, if Nastasia or Christian want to chime in on this as well, please do.
Tazzie's not on the call. I looked for her, but Hall is on the call, and I asked him to unmute himself, but he hasn't. So I don't know if they would like to speak or not, but they're not present.
Okay, well, we can come back if that's fine. So we're going to move into some other executive branch announcements. I won't take too much of your time, so you can hit the calendar tonight. The big topic of discussion, mentioned this in the town hall as well, is COVID-19, right? We're back in the second week. We know that I'm sure you all know cases are going up as far as positive, but I do believe that there are a lot of procedures taken in place, and I'm asking you as student leaders to help the university. We all need to help each other so we can fight this. One of the ways we did that, I hope you already heard, with Pledge TLH, the pledge that every student, alumni, community member can take. We started this with FAMU leadership as well as CCC leadership. Then University of Florida heard about it, and we started this little competition of who can get more people to sign on. Since we won't be playing them on the football field today, we thought it would be a fun way to educate, but also encourage good behavior. And really try to fight this so we can stay on campus. So if you have not yet, please go to pledgetlh.fsu.edu and submit that and tell your friends about it. And hopefully we will definitely be able to beat the Gators with this. I see Tazzie's on. Tazzie, did you want to talk about the bill?
Yes, hello, good evening, everyone. This is Nastasia Janvier, also known as Tazzie, Student Body Vice President. I'm so excited to welcome you all to another semester at FSU. If you're new, welcome, new nose. If you're coming back and you are seasoned in the game, welcome back. I'm so excited for this fall semester. Although it looks different, we are definitely still planning programmings, engagement through a virtual realm, making sure that we're staying engaged and just building community and a lot of the advocacy efforts that we were working on during the summer and transitioning into the fall semester. I wanted to take an opportunity to talk to you guys about the bill, and particularly where we are looking forward to extending not only conversations, but actions and dialogues in regards to land acknowledgement, especially with indigenous folks, in understanding where we are and where the institution needs to move towards to at FSU, and want to extend the opportunity for everybody to name and acknowledge where we as an executive branch stands and where we want to go. And I know Jonathan talked about some of those things beforehand, and again, we are open to continuing dialogue and making sure that we are working with you all to see things that we want to come into fruition. And we extended that at our town hall. We're going to continue to extend that opportunity for us to work together moving forward in the future. Nonetheless, beyond that, we are still working on our advocacy efforts that we have transitioned from the summer into the fall semester, particularly with diversity and inclusion and everything else that has been going on. If you guys want a quick recap about all those things, you guys can watch the town hall video that is coming out on IGTV, because we're keeping you guys looped in. And if you guys have any personal questions that you guys want to connect with me on, my office hours will be uploaded to the SGA website pretty soon, so you guys can find that information there. Thank you guys. Love you guys. Go Noles.
And thanks, Tazzie. She took the words right out of my mouth. Look forward to some of the stuff we were talking about at the town hall coming into action. A lot of the work we were doing this summer with the city of Tallahassee, as well as with FSU PD. We had some really good news come back, and we're excited to implement those actions and have a big announcement about it. So thank you. Like Tazzie said, all three of us are available. Our office hours will be uploaded. Our new office hours will be uploaded to the website very shortly. Mine are up there ready. Please contact us, and looking forward to a really strong semester with this Senate. So have a great night and go Noles.
All right, with that being said, we will be moving on from the executive branch messages into messages from agencies and bureau directors, SGA organization officers, and employees. Are there any of those individuals? Senha, you may speak whenever you're ready, and just introduce yourself and what organization you're speaking on behalf of.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. My name is Sneha Kapil, and I am the Education Coordinator for the Asian American Student Union. And I'm here tonight to emphasize that ASU is in full support of Bill 93. ASU had our first fall event tonight from 6 to 8, which began with a land acknowledgement, as we have started doing from the spring semester since educating our board and event leaders on the matter. We won the agency representation competition at Spirit Showcase last fall with a performance that began with a land acknowledgement. As a school that benefits from the use of the Seminole tribe as our symbol, it is extremely necessary that we bring to light the history of all the indigenous people that once lived on this land, beyond the Seminole tribe. Bill 93 has been formulated by an expert, as you heard, who has worked with indigenous peoples for many years. It provided 3 months of grace before implementation to allow SGA leaders to learn about what land acknowledgements are and why they are important. Land acknowledgements are the bare minimum for what we can do to respect the indigenous people who lived here before us and bring attention to the issues their communities face today. This first step is how we encourage conversations and educate others. Countless indigenous activists have already expended their energy and labor as people of color to speak on the importance and benefit of land acknowledgements. We already know it's the right thing to do, so let's do it. This mandated and institutionalized land acknowledgement is a necessary step in order to create actionable change on our campus that will continue long after we are gone. ASU stands in full support of Bill 93. It passed through Senate with an overwhelming majority the first time, and I hope tonight you can vote to override the veto on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Sneha. Are there any other messages from agency and bureau directors, SGA organization officers, and employees? If so, please raise your hand. Seeing none, are there any messages from the executive cabinet? If so, raise your hand. Rowan. All right, Rowan, you may speak whenever you're ready.
Hi everyone, it's Rowan here. Sorry to be another member welcoming you all back, but welcome back. I think it's important that we're all here during this time. I know it doesn't feel like some sort of collective gathering, but that's what it is, and it's important to maintain that through this time. I know there were a couple issues brought up during public comment, and I'm excited to see what this body does through that time because you guys are all the leaders on this campus, and what you do is super important. But on that matter, as the executive branch, as you know, Tazzy and Jonathan slightly mentioned, we're here for you during this semester. We have our task list going up on the website very soon. We love student and leader input on that. We want to work with everybody to better those initiatives. If you have a great idea coming forth, add an initiative to it because, you know, there's a lot of work to do in this, you know, newfound world that we find ourselves in. And just without all that support, that's almost always open to be mentioned, but always want to mention it again because our lines truly are open. You know, the world and our country are a bit heavy right now. Actually, a bit is an understatement. It's very heavy right now. Watch Black Panther if you haven't again. But it's very heavy right now, and I would just advise everybody to give everybody grace because everybody is a human being and everybody deserves your empathy and your slight emotional intelligence towards their respective, you know, towards their respective selves. So if you lead that way, it'll trickle down and it'll be a better, you know, FSU's fall semester, granted online, but I promise if you do those things, we'll get a lot done and we'll do a lot together. So I'm excited. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you so much, Rowan, for coming. With that being said, are there any other messages from the executive cabinet? Seeing none, we'll be moving forward into messages from the class councils. Are there any messages from the class councils? Seeing none, we'll be moving forward again into the messages from the Congress of Graduate Students. Are there any messages from the Congress of Graduate Students? All right, seeing none, we'll be moving forward again. Any messages from the judicial branch? There won't be any because the judicial branch is empty currently, but yeah, I don't see any hands raised. Moving forward again, messages from the Union Board and SOAR Board. Any messages from the Union Board and SOAR Board? All right, seeing none, we'll be moving forward one more time. Messages from the Campus Recreation Board. Messages from the Campus Recreation Board. Seeing none, report of the SGA Accounting Office. The remaining balances for Senate projects is $32,000. The Program Allocation Committee has $50,000. The Resource and Travel Allocation Committee has $60,000. $1,000, and the org fund has $4,000. So with that being said, I did want to mention that PAC and RTAC are going to start meeting again starting on September 14th. But the PAC and RTAC chair know that, and they'll be conducting their business. So moving forward, the report of Senate liaisons. Are there any Senate liaisons who are wishing to make a report? All right, seeing no Senate liaisons wishing to make a report of the committees. Judiciary. Oh, I didn't meet you. I'm sorry. I was just looking.
It's fine. Judiciary met on Monday night. I was elected as chair. Vice Chair Chabot was elected as vice chair, and we did not do any other business. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Leckie. With that, Chair Dean, could you raise your hand for the budget committee report?
Sorry, I was trying to find the button. So budget met Monday at 6. We had Ahmad administrating the first vote where I was elected as chair of the committee. And following that, Vice Chair Stinson was afterwards elected to be vice chair. So congratulations there. And we had no further business, and we will be meeting next week, Monday at 6. So we'll definitely be having some stuff to go over then. So hope to see you then. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Dean. With that being said, report of the Finance Committee. Chair Adam Meek, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance met yesterday at 6 o'clock, and I was reelected as chair, and Senator Rudolph was elected as vice chair. We didn't discuss any business. We only had elections, and we will be meeting next Tuesday at 9 p.m.
All right. Thank you, Chair Adam Meek. Chair Martin from Student Life and Academic Affairs with her committee report.
Hello. So we met on Monday, elected chair and vice chair. I'm the chair of the SLAW committee, and then vice chair is Senator Ferguson, and we will be meeting on Monday at 5 p.m.
Thank you, Chair Martin. With that being said, the Chair of Internal Affairs, Senator Gonzalez. You may go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. President. We met Tuesday, September 1st, yesterday at 5 p.m. to elect chair. I was elected chair, and Senator Medley Neighbor was elected vice chair of the committee. We did not discuss any further business.
All right. Thank you, Chair Gonzalez. I appreciate the report. With that being said, Pro Temp Harmon, with rules, you may go ahead. Oh, sorry, I muted you.
Oh, okay, I'm good. Okay. Hey all, so I welcomed the new chairs and the returning chairs to rules. We were gonna get down to business and stuff. However, we did pass Bill 88 by acclamation. So you'll be seeing that tonight. We had to table resolution 55, 57, 58, 60, 61, 62, and amendment 2, 3, and amendment 2 and 3, because the sponsors did not show. Hopefully, if you are a sponsor of something that is in rules, you show up. It would be nice for us to get things passed or just debated, just work on it. But we also discussed about how I'd like to see rules go over the rules of procedure, because as you know, the rules of procedure sometimes is a little lackluster, or it just doesn't make sense or something like that. So we're gonna probably go over that sometime in the coming weeks. And we'll be meeting next week, Wednesday at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. We're still gonna discuss about that, but, and then hopefully maybe another meeting in that week. So yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Pro Temp Harmon. With that being said, the Racial Inclusivity and Justice Ad Hoc did not meet. However, the Survivor Advocacy Ad Hoc did meet. Chair Sam, if you wanted to give a brief report, you may go ahead and do so.
Hey folks, just to let you know, the Survivors Advocacy Ad Hoc met today. We discussed some new business in terms of splitting up the committee into subcommittees and working on 3 different aspects of campus: housing, Greek life, and working directly with Title IX and No More. So we're working on that. We're gonna have some exciting things planned soon. And yeah, if any senator wants to help out as well, please reach out. I hope it doesn't just, if you don't have to be on the committee to help out, you can just reach out to me whenever and we can work on something together. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Sam. With that being said, we are now in Senate confirmations. So all the candidates, when I say your name, please make sure you raise your hand so we can go into the process of Senate confirmations. So we have Melanie Green for Veteran Student Union Secretary, John Wallace for Veteran Student Union External Coordinator, Cam Bickley for Veteran Student Union Internal Coordinator, Isabella Hernandez for PSU Treasurer, and Eric Tapia for HLSU Treasurer. And we also have Genesis Shaw for Senate Press Secretary. And those are the confirmations we will be hearing tonight. So if you could please raise your hand if you are on the call and I said your name. I will be unmuting you to give you the opportunity. All right, so it seems like we only have 3 of the people who are up for confirmation on the call. So I will say the names one more time just in case you didn't hear me. So Melanie Green, John Wallace, Cam Bickley, Isabella Hernandez, Eric Tapia, and Genesis Shaw. And then, yes, it says Jake Alvarez is up for confirmation for Senate Parliamentarian. However, we will not be conducting his confirmation today. With that being said, I said Bickley is here. Cameron Bickley, can you please unmute your mic? All right, besides those 4 individuals, I don't see any of the other ones. Yeah. All right. So with that being said, we'll be confirming these 4 individuals instead of, every single person who's on our confirmation list because they're not present. So with that being said, each candidate up for confirmation, could you please state your name and the position you are going for? And in doing so, each one of you has 5 minutes for an opening statement. And whatever you don't use for that opening statement, you will use for your closing. And then Eric Tapia. All right, I asked you to unmute yourself. If you could please do so, that would be great. Awesome, so now we have 5 candidates for confirmation. And like I was saying, each candidate has 5 minutes. They can utilize it as they see fit. And then we will go into kind of the process of questioning them, technically non-debatable, and so on and so forth. So starting with John Wallace, you have 5 minutes whenever you are ready to begin.
Hi, everyone. I'm John Wallace. I'm the candidate for Veteran Student Union External Coordinator. I'm currently Vice President of Member Development at Beta Theta Pi. I'm a sophomore here, majoring in economics. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, and I'm also a President's Ambassador.
All right. Do you yield the rest of your
I yield, yes.
All right, awesome. So he's going to yield 4 minutes and 41 seconds to his closing. Melanie Green, if you'd like to begin with your opening.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melanie Green, and I'm the candidate for the Veteran Student Union Secretary. I'm also a sophomore here at FSU, majoring in Communication Sciences and Disorders. I'm from Tampa, kind of, but I'm a military brat, so I've moved around quite frequently. And I really enjoyed the work I've done so far with the VSU, and I'm really excited for the rest of the semester. I yield my time.
All right, with that being said, Ms. Green, you're yielding 4 minutes and 39 seconds to your closing. Genesis Shaw, you may give your opening whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Senators. I'm Genesis Shaw. I'm a junior here at Florida State University. I am a media and communications major. I think communications is one of the most important tools that we have as human beings. A change, a vision, a solution, a message cannot be spread without or enacted without being communicated. So I've dedicated my time here at FSU to serving my peers and my community through different forms of communication. And I am nominated and I am up for the role of press secretary. And I would be honored to be in this position, which allows me to use the gift of communication to connect the Senate to the people they serve, which is the student body. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. With that, you are yielding 4 minutes and 13 seconds. Mr. Bickley, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
All right. Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name's Cameron Bickley, and I am a candidate for the position of the Director of Internal Affairs with the Veteran Student Union. I'm a junior here at Florida State, and I'm majoring in digital media production. So prior to coming to Florida State, I served about 6 years, 8 months in the Air Force. My career field is what's now the Space Force. Maybe y'all have heard if y'all been, or maybe y'all have heard of it if you've been following on the news. And I served as an internal director this past spring semester. And I'm just really looking forward to being able to interact with the veteran community here on campus. I mean, with Corona going on, it's a little bit limited, but we're still, doing as much as we can to take care of that programming. And I'm looking forward to working with a new e-board. And I yield my time.
Thank you. You yield with 4 minutes and 9 seconds, Mr. Bickley. With that being said, we'll go to our last candidate for confirmation, Mr. Tapia.
Yeah, hello. So hope everyone's doing all right. My name's Eric. I'm currently a sophomore. I'm majoring in finance and minoring in economics. I'm a candidate for treasurer for HLSU. I'm from Palm Beach, Florida. Aside from becoming a candidate for treasurer, I'm also involved with Seminole Student Boosters and Phi Iota Alpha. And aside from creating a budget this semester, my main goal this whole semester and for spring is to host the financial literacy events through Hispanic Heritage Month and through spring. So that kind of like a campaign through social media. And that's kind of, knowledge as well. So I'm trying to give people some advice if I can. And that's really all. I yield my time.
Thank you, Mr. Tapia. You are yielding 4 minutes and 17 seconds to your closing. With that being said, are there any technical non-debatable questions, senators, for any of the candidates? Please raise your hand, senators, if you have any technical non-debatable questions. All right. Seeing none, is there a motion to go into questions in regards to their position? Chair Gonzalez.
So moved.
Chair Leckie.
So seconded.
All right. With that being said, are there any objections for us to go into the round of questions in regards to their position? All right, seeing none, we are now in the questioning round for position. Are there any questions that the senators would like to pose to any of the candidates? All right, if you guys do not have any questions in regards to the position, I am open to taking a motion in regards to moving into questions about the candidate's character. Senator Gonzalez.
So moved, Mr. President.
All right, is there a second to that motion? Senator Lavender.
So seconded.
All right, thank you. And now we are in. Are there any objections before we get into the round of character questions? All right, seeing no objections, we are in the round for character questions. Are there any questions in regards to the character of any of these candidates? All right, seeing no questions in regards to character, is there a motion to call the question and forward the candidates individually? Senator Sam.
I motion to call the question.
All right, and forward the candidates individually.
Thank you, yes, and move forward.
All right, with that being said, is there a second to the motion to forward the candidates individually and call the question? Senator Rossi.
So seconded.
All right, we are now in line to allow the candidates to all give their closing statements. And once they give their closing statements, we will be in line to vote. So with that being said, Mr. Wallace, if you're ready to give your closing statement, you have 4 minutes and 41 seconds whenever you're ready.
Hi, everyone. I would just like to thank you all for letting me, come here tonight and give my statement, give my opening and closing statement. I really had a great time since being nominated for the position of external coordinator, working with the executive board here at the VSU. We've done a lot of great work so far, and I'm really excited for the work that we're going to keep doing throughout the semester. Thank you. I yield my time.
All right, thank you. With that being said, we are now in line to allow Mr. or Miss Green. It's Miss Green, correct? Yeah, Miss Green, you can give your closing statement, and you have 4 minutes and 39 seconds.
I want to echo what John Wallace said and thank all the senators for taking the time to be here tonight and to hear our statements. And the same thing, I'm really excited to work with the rest of the board and take on the challenge of supporting our veteran community at FSU through the turmoil in the world and through all our online events. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, Ms. Green. With that being said, Ms. Shaw, you're in line to give your closing statement.
I just want to thank all of the senators for allowing me to make my statement and for hearing me tonight. I am excited. I think that the Senate does a lot of really good and really important things, and I'm very excited to communicate all of these things to the student body. And yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. With that being said, Mr. Bickley, whenever you're ready, you can give your closing statement.
Yeah, so I just want to echo what everybody else was saying. I just want to thank all the senators here for taking the time out to go through this process and get us all confirmed. Looking forward to another year with the VSU, and then just being able to inform and get to know more of our veteran community here on campus about some of the resources that are available to them. And in the role of interim director, just looking forward to getting to know my e-board members as a whole. So again, thank y'all, and looking forward to what the rest of the semester and year has to offer for us.
Thank you, Mr. Bickley. With that being said, we are in line to allow Mr. Tapia to give your closing remarks.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you all for being here tonight. Most importantly, can't wait for this semester to start. So far, I've been having fun with my position, gotten close with some of the members on the board, and that's the best thing. I know we already starting to get it kicked off this semester. Programming board is doing an amazing job. I can't wait to get the budget through, and yeah, let's try to make the best of it this semester. But thank you.
Thank you. So with that being said, we are now in line to vote for each candidate individually. So when I state a candidate's name, each candidate, if you could please state your name again and the position you are going for, to allow the senators to know who you are. And yeah, and so whenever I say the individual's name, yes means you voting in favor of the candidate, no means you're voting against the candidate, and go faster is an abstention in regards to that candidate. Candidate Wallace, could you please state your name and your position?
John Wallace, External Coordinator for the Veteran Student Union.
All right, senators, you are all in line to vote now. So please vote yes for yes, no for no, and go faster for abstention.
Giannis does not lower his shoulder or push off, so it is correct.
All right, before we finish the voting, is anybody here? I hope you all saw my message. Is anybody here that wasn't here during roll? Because I have 39 people in here, and I hope that there's 39 votes. Yes, I got you, Senator Akonda. Not your vote yet. Hold on. All right.
Senator Lewis, Senator Akonda, please make sure you make your vote known.
Yeah, we need 2 more votes. Or 3 more votes, actually. Yeah, we're up to 39. Unless I miscounted, but.
I'm looking up at the names right now to see if there's anybody who didn't vote.
Senator Adams, you haven't voted. If your vote disappears, just put it back. All right, I will just put Senator Adams as no vote. And that's 37 yay, 0 no, 0 abstention. Candidate does pass.
All right. With that, congratulations, and please stay on the call, Candidate Wallace, so you guys can all be sworn in after we're done confirming each and every candidate. So with that being said, Candidate Green, if you could please give your name and the position you are going for prior to the Senate making a vote.
I'm Melanie Green for the Secretary for the Veteran Student Union.
All right, thank you, Ms. Green. With that being said, senators, you are in line to vote yes for yes, no for no, and go faster for abstention.
Senator Lewis, Senator Adam Meek, Senator Murcia, Little, Mosick, Mayman, Sorry if I'm being rushed. I'm rushing you guys. I'm just trying to get it done. Senator Adams, are you here? Senator Mayman. All right, I'm going to put those two as no votes. 36 yay, 0 no, 0 abstention. Candidate does pass. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Candidate Green. With that being said, we are now going to go to Candidate Shaw. Candidate Shaw, are you unmuted?
I'm Genesis Shaw, and I'm going for press secretary.
All right. With that being said, senators, you are all now in line to vote. Yes for yes, no for no, and go faster for abstention.
Senator Primozic.
Senator Lewis.
Senator Mouget. Senator Shanahan, sorry. Senator Adams, if you're here. Just making sure. Okay, we're back to 37, so that's good. All right, with 37 yes, 0 no, 0 abstention, candidate does pass.
All right, congratulations, Candidate Shaw. We will be moving forward into Candidate Bickley. Could you please just state your name and the position you are going for?
Cameron Bickley, and Director of Internal Affairs for the Veteran Student Union.
All right, thank you, Candidate Bickley. With that being said, senators, you are all now in line to vote. Yes is for yes, no is for no, and go faster is for abstention.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, Senator Pedrosa, your vote disappeared. Okay, there. Senator Shanahan. There we go. Senator Abston. All right. I'm missing one more vote because 37 was previously recorded. Somebody didn't vote. Senator Akonda, you're the one that hasn't voted yet. All right, there we go. 37 yes, 0 no, 0 abstentions. Candidate does pass.
All right.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay. Never mind. That's correct. Kenley just texted me. Okay.
I know Senator Adams and Senator Little were having connection issues. I told them to reach out. Okay. With that being said, congratulations, Candidate Bickley. We'll be moving on to our final candidate for confirmation, which is Candidate Tapia. Can you please state your name and the position you are going for prior to the Senate taking a vote?
So Eric Tapia, running for treasurer for the Hispanic Latinx Student Union.
All right, thank you. Senators, you are all now in line to vote. Yes for yes, no for no, and go faster for abstention.
All right. All right, we need one more vote. If you're having trouble, just text me. It's okay. I can get it there. All right, 37 37 yes, 0 no, 0 abstention. Candidate does pass.
All right, congratulations all candidates. If you could all please make sure your mics are unmuted so that the Senate Pro Tempore can swear you all in with the oath of office whenever you're ready.
Is everybody ready?
I don't think they're all unmuted. I'm unmuting them. But yeah, now you should be straight to start.
All right. Candidates for student body offices. Oh, please raise your right hand. We're not doing this in person, so it's weird. Candidates for student body offices may choose to replace the words "so help me God" with "on pain of impeachment" when taking the oath of office. Do you guys understand?
Yes.
Yeah, you all can just say yeah. I, please state your name.
I, Cameron
I,
Bickley,
Melanie Green,
Eric Tapia.
Promise to support and defend
promise to support and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the state of Florida,
the state of
State
Florida,
of Florida,
and the Florida State University student body.
and the Florida
and the
State
Florida
University
State
student
University
body.
student body.
And I shall perform my duties to the best of my ability.
And I shall perform my duties to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
God.
Congratulations.
All right. You guys can do like virtual claps, but I would like to say congratulations to all candidates. And I did want to say, like specifically to the VSU candidates, I apologize we weren't able to do it during the summer and we had to push it today. But with that being said, you guys can stick around if you'd like. I know Press Secretary Shaw, you can stick around. That'd be awesome. Just keep track of the Senate. But the rest of you guys can stay as well if you'd like, and you guys could also leave if you want as well. So thank you guys all for coming. So now we'll be moving on into the consent calendar. PAC and RTAC do not meet in the summer, so we do not have any consent calendars. With that being said, we are now going to bills on first reading. Bill 39, sponsored by Senator Sohos and Leckie, amending Student Body Statutes Chapter 807.6K regarding funding boards budgets in the fall, referred to Finance, then Judiciary. It was tabled in Finance, and it is still tabled in Finance. Bill 57, sponsor is Sohos and Adam Meek, amending Student Body Statute 807.6, clarifying advertising regarding RSOs, referred to Finance, then Judiciary, is still tabled in Finance. And Bill 58, sponsored by Senator Sohos, amending Student Body Statutes 807.6G, clarifying funding to organizations, is referred to Finance, and then Judiciary is also still tabled in Finance. Bill 68 is sponsored by Senator Sohos, amending Student Body Statutes 807.6 regarding RTAC, was referred to Finance and then Judiciary, passed in Judiciary out of sequence, and tabled in Finance. Bill 72, sponsored by Senator Promozic, amending Student Body Statutes Chapter 303.2 regarding TLI leadership, which is the Transfer Leadership Institute, was referred to IA, then Judiciary, and it passed in IA, therefore it's still in Judiciary. Bill 75, sponsored by Senator Sohos, was amending Student Body Statutes, Chapter 807.G6, regarding travel funding limits, referred to Finance, then Judiciary, also tabled in Finance. Bill 86, sponsored by Senator Dodson, Stinson, and Adams, was amending Student Body Chapter 100.5 to add Deputy Treasurer and members of the Executive Office to the list of major positions, referred to Judiciary, then IA, and amended and passed in Judiciary, and then amended and passed in IA, which means we should be able to hear it on the floor today. Let me make sure I put that down. All right. With that being said, we're now on Bill 87, sponsored by Senator Ryan, amending the Student Body Statutes Chapter 802.7 with regards to public advertisement of events, referred to Finance and Judiciary, tabled in Finance. Bill 88 is sponsored by Senator Yanam and Vogel, and it was amending Student Body Statutes Chapter 207.4 with regards to new senator orientation, referred to Judiciary, then Rules, amended and passed in Judiciary. And it was tabled in Rules, but it actually passed by acclamation today prior to us meeting. So that was also another piece of legislation we'll be able to hear on the floor. With that being said, Bill 97 was sponsored by Senator Leckie and Senator John Alvarez, amending Student Body Chapter 100.5 and 421 to create non-voting delegates of the Student Senate, referred to SLAW, Judiciary, then Rules. It was tabled in SLAW, and then it failed in SLAW. With that being said, we are now on Bill 98, sponsored by Senator Dean, which is amending student body statutes, Chapter 413.3 regarding renaming of the Student Senate Excellence Award to the Danielle Acosta Student Senate Award for Excellence. And Bill 98 is referred to judiciary and rules. So with that, and we are now in bills on second reading. The two pieces of legislation that are on first reading but are actually on second reading, I'll ensure to, I'll make sure that we get to those as well. But we will be starting with Bill 62, which is sponsored by Senator Villacorta, who is no longer a senator, Senator Yanam, as well as Murcia, amending Student Body Statute Chapter 1005.5 regarding amendments. Yanam was added as a primary and Murcia as a co-sponsored by Senator Villacorta and Porter at the time. It was referred to judiciary, amended and passed in judiciary. Senator Weber, who is also no longer a senator, moved to send it back to committee. Senator Soho seconded it. Senator Vayman objects, and then Reddy called it to the question. England second, and then it was voted on and remanded to committee. It was tabled in judiciary twice, and then it ended up passing in judiciary on June 1st. And so with that being said, Bill 62, sponsors, welcome to the floor. If you could please raise your hand so you guys can present this piece of legislation. Senator Yanam, Senator Murcia.
Sorry, I just got kicked from the Zoom, but I'm back.
That's fine. And then senators, make sure whenever I call on your name in regards to when you are presenting for a piece of legislation, you please raise your hand just so it's quicker and faster for us to keep it moving forward. With that being said, Senator Yanam and Senator Murcia, you both have 5 minutes for your opening whenever you're ready.
Give me a second to pull up this bill.
All right, and then Pro Temp Harmon, if you get a chance, could you please share your screen and share the piece of legislation so that senators can see it. But I hope that all senators were able to read legislation that was on the calendar because it has been so for a while. Sponsors, are you guys ready to begin your opening?
Is Senator Murcia here, or is it just me?
Yeah.
Senator Murcia is here.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, we should be good.
All right, whenever you start speaking, I'll start the timer.
Okay, are we ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm a co-sponsor on this, but I do want to say that Mr. Villacorta is also present here if there's any questions that Senator Yanam and I can't speak. And with that, if you want to take it away.
Yeah, so Bill 62 was one of the last bills that were debated on in person in Senate. It essentially dictates, is removing unconstitutional powers from the agencies that allow them to veto bill decisions made about their statutes and bills made about their statutes. This is only present for 3 of the agencies. I believe it is VSU, Pride Student Union, and HLSU. It is not it's not in the statutes for the 3 other agencies. On top of that, regardless of whether or not this is a good idea, is against the Constitution, the student constitution. Only the president has the power to veto bills. And on top of that, only 3 of the student unions have them. Beyond that, unless Senator Murcia has anything else to add, we can yield to closing.
No, I think you covered it. We yield the rest of our time.
All right, sponsors yield 3 minutes and 41 seconds to their closing. We are now in technical non-debatable questions. Are there any technical non-debatable questions, senators? Chair Gonzalez.
Yes, quick question. What exactly was amended in committee?
From what I remember about it being, I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
No.
From what I remember about it being amended is that originally this used to be 3 separate bills, and Senator Villacorta at the time moved it into one singular bill for the convenience of the Senate.
Thank you.
Chair Sohos, you're recognized for technical non-debatable.
Yes, my question is, did you get the side of the agency directors who this would affect? Did you talk to them?
When the bill was originally put forth, I know Senator Villacorta checked with all of the 3 agencies at which is enumerated in the bill. Pride Student Union and VSU completely understood that it was unconstitutional, and while those powers cannot be retained, HLSU seemed hesitant to lose this power. But all of the student unions were in fact contacted. Regardless of whether or not they think it's a good idea, it's not constitutional within our student constitution.
All right, thank you, Chair Sohos. Are there any further technical non-debatable questions? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to move into pro-con debate? Chair Gonzalez,
So moved.
Chair Sohos.
So seconded.
All right, with that being said, moving into pro-con debate. Seeing none, we are now in the first round. We're in the first round of pro with 3 minutes on the clock. Is anyone wishing to speak in the first round of pro? Chair Gonzalez.
Yeah, I think this is a common sense bill. It's obviously unconstitutional. I was reading through the statutes the other day and it seemed kind of odd to me when I was reading through those. And besides that, like obviously I understand it's a courtesy to reach out to the agencies, but technically you don't have to because that's our power. No one can veto what we say because we have the higher power. So that's it. Yeah.
All right, with that being said, Senator yields 2 minutes and 32 seconds in the first round of pro. Are there any further senators wishing to speak in the first round? Point, Pro Tem Harmon.
Just a point of, I don't know, parliamentary procedure. I have no idea where this amended version is. I'd like to see it. I don't know what we're talking about. Don't know where I can find it because it's not on the website. So like,
right.
I'd like to see it before I can vote on something. I mean, no disrespect to anybody. I'm just, curious.
Chair Leckie, if there's any way that you could get it, because I know it came out of Judiciary, that was the final place that it was before it got to the floor. If you could send it in an email to Pro Tem Harmon so that way he can share it with the rest of the Senate, the most amended version.
Thank you.
All right, of course. With that being said, are there any senators wishing to speak in the first round of pro? Seeing none, we are now in the first round of con with 3 minutes as well. Are there any senators wishing to speak in the first round of con? All right, seeing none, I will entertain a motion to call the question on this piece of legislation. However, we will not take the vote until Chair Leckie is able to get the piece of legislation to Pro Tem Harmon and he's able to share it. However, I will still allow the motion to occur, but we will not be in line to vote until the piece of legislation in its amended form is shown to the Senate as a whole. Chair Dean.
So moved.
Chair Little, or Senator Little.
So seconded.
All right, are there any objections to the calling of the question? Seeing none, the question has been called. However, we are not in line to vote until the piece of legislation has been shown to the Senate. So we just get to look at each other. All right, I'm going to give us about 2 minutes, so until 9:33, for us to be able to find this piece of legislation. And if we do not, I'll allow for the senator who motioned to call the question to motion instead to table it so we can return to this piece of legislation.
Okay, so I'm fine. I'll just abstain. But if anybody else feels strongly about it, we can just like move on or whatever. Not move on. Like I'll just abstain. It's okay. I'm not gonna hold
Nope.
this up.
Check my email as well, just to make sure that, I maybe have it. But if I don't, then. I found a version of it, but I'm not sure if this is the most amended version. So, Chair Leckie, as you can see it, just let me know if this looks like the most amended version of the piece of legislation.
You just have to make sure it includes Veteran Student Union, Hispanic Latinx Student Union, and I believe there was another one involved.
Pride Student Union.
Pride Student Union. I think this is the correct one because
you right there.
Yeah, VSU, PSU. Yeah, I think this is the correct version.
Yeah, this is it.
Sorry, there was like 3 versions of this, and this was like from 9 months ago. So there's a lot of different Word documents with this title. So sorry about that, everybody.
No worries, guys. I was happy to be able to find it. I was pretty excited. But with that being said, now that we have the piece of legislation in front of us, we are now in line to vote, senators. So please vote yes for yes, no for no. But prior to doing that, actually, sponsors, you guys do have your closing of 3 minutes and 41 seconds. So sponsors, if you'd like to give your closing prior to us moving on into voting, you may go ahead and do so now. And if, okay, go ahead.
So kind of to sum it up, not everyone was in agreement with this, but this is a non-constitutional thing that is in our statute, so we do need to get rid of it. With that, I'll pass it off to KP if she has anything else to say.
Yeah, no, that just about covers it. Regardless of whether or not it's the considerate thing to do, it's unconstitutional, so we kind of got to get rid of it. But with that, I yield. Thanks.
All right. With that being said, senators, you are all now in line to vote. Yes is yes, no is no, and go faster is abstention.
Senator Stinson, Shanahan. All right, we have 33 votes. We should have 38 total. And I realized why we were off. Senator Pedroso, Senator Lewis. All right, we need 2 more votes. Senator Adams, if you're having issues, you can just text it to me. Oh, someone's vote went away. All right, I'm getting the abstentions now. Somebody's vote went away. We're missing a vote. You got to put it back. I got to find it again. Or someone got kicked out. Probably that. Oh, Shanahan. I believe you voted yes. All right. 30. Sorry, she texted me, I think. All right. 35 yes, 0 no, 3 abstentions. Bill 62 does pass.
All right. Congratulations, sponsors. Virtual claps. With that being said, we will go on to the next piece of legislation on the calendar, which is Bill 66, sponsored by Senator Villacorta and Senator Aconda, amending Student Body Statute, Chapter 307.
Oh, sorry, I messed you up. My bad.
307 regarding changing the SGA application. It was referred to the Internal Affairs, then to Judiciary. It passed in IA and passed in Judiciary. Sponsor Aconda. If you are here, please raise your hand so I can allow you to speak. Senator.
Sorry. Hold on.
You have 5 minutes for your opening whenever you're ready.
Sorry. Okay, so this is legislation that we worked with a while ago when Ryan was still a senator, and essentially, sorry, it's been a while. I think this is just some basic changes to the structure of internal affairs, if I'm reading this correctly, and so yeah, it's just some basic changes to I think the way internal affairs works, if I'm reading that correctly. So yeah, that's about it.
Do you yield the rest of your time to your closing, Senator? I think so. He muted himself. All right, so 4 minutes and 26 seconds are for his closing. With that being said, Senators, before we go into technical non-debatable, I understand it's been a moment since we've referred to a lot of our legislation, but please, if any of you guys are sponsors for any legislation that will be heard tonight, please take a look at it prior to us getting to your specific piece of legislation, because it's important that you know what you're talking about when we are discussing something, because it's hard to show confidence in the legislation if the sponsor themselves is struggling to understand its purpose. So with that being said, we are in technical non-debatable questions, and if there are any technical non-debatable questions for sponsor Akanda or for myself, you may go ahead and ask. Chair Gonzalez.
Yes, so just to clarify, the only thing you're removing is the time frame that you can change SG applications.
Senator Akanda, you can respond.
All right, yeah, that's the only thing we're changing.
Thank
All right. All right. Chair Selhos.
Clarification, if you scroll down on the bill, I think it's 307.3C, it actually makes the Internal Affairs Committee not have to actually talk to the Attorney General or the Student Body Chief of Staff when they're going to change an application. And I think that could have, I'll reserve that for pro and con, but that's just a point of clarification. It's doing more than just changing the time frame.
Yeah, if you wanted to have, a point of clarification or, on speaking pro and con, please wait until we get into pro and con, because technical non-debatable is for questions that can be answered with yes or no. But with that being said, we are going to move on unless there's any other technical non-debatable questions. All right, seeing none, is there a motion to go into rounds of pro and con? Chair Gonzalez.
So moved.
Senator Waters.
So seconded.
All right, thank you so much. Are there any objections to going into pro and con debate? Seeing none, we are in the first round of pro with 3 minutes on the clock. And if there's anybody who would like to speak in the first round of pro, Senator Selhos.
All right, so I guess I'm going to finish what I was saying. Point of clarification. This thing actually makes the Internal Affairs Committee not have to actually talk to the Attorney General or the executive branch when they change the application. And to my understanding, it's the executive branch who issues the application. So I think that could be a big deal,
All right, thank you, Senator Selhos. With that being said, is there anyone wishing to speak in the first round of pro? We still have 3 minutes on the clock. Seeing no senators wishing to speak in pro, we are now in the first round of con. Is there any senators wishing to speak in the first round of con? Senator Leckie?
If there's nobody wishing to speak, I'd move to pass by unanimous consent.
All right. With that being said, is there a second to the motion of unanimous consent? Senator Murcia?
I second.
All right. Are there any objections to the motion of unanimous consent? Senator Medlinera?
I object.
All right. With that objection being made, does Chair Leckie wish to withdraw?
I do. I withdraw.
All right. Is there a motion instead to call the question? Senator Murcia?
So moved.
All right. Senator Rossi?
So seconded.
All right. With that being said, are there any objections to the motion of calling the question? Senator Sohos, are you objecting?
Yes, I'm objecting
All right, on what grounds?
on the grounds that I want to talk more and clarify more about what this is actually doing.
Did you want to speak in con?
Con, yes.
All right, to Senator Garcia, do you withdraw your question?
Yeah.
Okay, Senator Sohos, we're back in the first round of con with 3 minutes on the clock. If you would like to speak, you can go
Yes.
ahead.
All right, so basically what I want to say is that the application is a collaborative effort between the executive branch and the legislative branch. So I really think it's important that if we're going to change an application, or if the Internal Affairs Committee is going to change an application, they should probably contact, the executive branch and talk to them about it, because those are the people who are actually going to be giving out the application and interviewing people before they're even forwarded to Internal Affairs. So I think it's bad to establish this type of relationship by adding may in Part C. And then for A1, the reason why that is there is so that there's no double standard and the application stays the same throughout the part of the year where most people are actually getting confirmed, which is after spring. So as you know, when the student body president first gets elected, he actually has a cabinet get appointed and everyone has to go through the application process. So the reason why this is this way is so that everyone who does that every single year has the same standard set. And if it's changed after that. That's something I actually talked to the Attorney General about.
All right, thank you for that. There is 1 minute and 53 seconds on the clock for con. Senator England, do you wish to speak in con?
Yes, please. I just want to very briefly echo the sentiments of Senator Sohos, Chair Sohos at that. Most of the appointments come from the executive branch, and so I don't feel confident giving the Internal Affairs Committee the power to consult the executive branch at their discretion. I think it should be a collaborative process, and I think if we're going to do this correctly, I'd rather take the time to consult the executive branch rather than rush these changes through. And so I think to that end, I encourage senators to vote no on this piece of legislation, and I yield.
All right, Senator yields with 1 minute and 17 seconds. Are there any further comments in the round of con? And if there is not, I will be accepting a motion to call the question. Senator England, were you trying to make the motion? No. All right, is there anybody wishing to speak in con or make a motion? Okay, seeing that neither of those things are occurring, we are in the second round of pro again with 3 minutes on the clock. Are there any senators wishing to speak in the second round of pro? Senator Chabot.
Yes, hello, Senate. So sorry. It is good to be back with you all. Basically, this bill opens up the time frame for IA to change the application instead of just several months out of the year to all of the year. For example, if they found a mistake in the application in May, if this bill were not passed, they would not be able to change it until fall inauguration. I don't think that allows them to do their job properly, and I don't think that we should suspend their powers for months out of the year. Furthermore, IA does have the sole power over the application, and the executive branch gets a chance to ask the questions that they want to ask in the interviews. And with that, I yield.
You were muted, President, but I got the idea. I just want to say the same thing that Senator Chabot is saying. IA, at the end of the day, is giving sole control over the SG application. Although I do understand the idea of maintaining that relationship with the executive branch. At the end of the day, it is our control, and I especially will still want to preserve that relationship. But at the end of the day, I feel like it is our control, it is our power. So it should stay within our power. And I'm in full support of this bill. I will be voting yes.
Thank you, Senator Gonzalez. With that, the first round of pro, or the second round of pro, I apologize, has 1 minute and 45 seconds left. Would any other senators like to speak in the second round of pro? Senator Waters.
Thank you, Mr. President. Looking at Senate Rules of Procedure 6.4, Section B, changes must pass the committee as well as review and propose any changes deemed necessary to the format of student government applications. I don't see why this is that big of a deal. We're going to consult the executive at the end of the day. We want people to be involved in student government. We want, our leaders to be held accountable. So I just don't see what the problem is with this.
All right, thank you. With that, Senator, you yield with 1 minute and 30 seconds to the second round of pro. With that being said, are there any other senators wishing to speak in the second round of pro? All right, seeing none, we're in the second round of con with 3 minutes on the clock. If there are any senators wishing to speak in the second round of second round of con, I apologize, please make it known. If not, I will be accepting a motion to call the question. Senator Wang,
I move to call the question.
Senator Little.
I second.
All right, with that being said, the question has been called. Are there any objections to the question being called on Bill 66? Okay, seeing none. Senator Akonda, you have 4 minutes and 26 seconds to your closing whenever you're ready. I gotta unmute you, Lane.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. President. Clearly, this bill is just about making sure that IA has the power that it needs to do its job full year round. So I think there shouldn't be an issue passing this legislation. Additionally, when it comes to the relationship that we have with executive branch, we have to remember that although a relationship with them is important, our duty is to be fair, to be unbiased, and frankly, the less connection that the executive branch has in the legislative decision process making, especially when it comes to nominating candidates and forwarding them to the Senate chamber for confirmation. I think that should be as contained within the legislation as possible in order for IA to truly do its job. So I really look forward to you guys passing this and making sure that IA has all the tools it needs to continue to be effective throughout the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Akonda. I appreciate you for your closing. With that being said, senators, we are all now in line to vote with yes meaning yes, no meaning no, and go faster meaning abstention. So please go ahead and vote. And if you're having any technical difficulties, please let Pro Temp Harmon know. And if you feel it necessary, you can let me know as well. But it is imperative you let Pro Temp Harmon know first because he is reporting the vote.
So, Senator Lewis, you haven't voted yet. Senator Kalink, Senator Rudd, Senator Shanahan, Senator Tooks, all right, I'm going to write down the no's real quick because there's a lot less of you, so it's easier. Shanahan, you still haven't voted. It's fine. I'll put you as no voted. Okay. And Senator Tooks. Okay, I'm going to put those two as no votes. That's okay. Kenley, I believe you've been voting. Yeah, I saw your vote. Shanahan and Tooks. So it should be 36. All right. 26 yes, 10 no, 0 abstentions. Bill 66 does pass.
Awesome. Congratulations, Sponsor Akonda. Bill 66 passed, just as Pro Tem Harmon said. With that being said, we will be moving forward to Bill 79. Bill 79 is sponsored by Senator Lavender and Reddy, amending Student Body Statute Chapter 300.2. Yes, Chair Leckie, point.
I have a motion.
All right.
Seeing that it's in the public interest and that there is an FSU professor still on this call, I move to unlock the calendar and move to Bill 93.
All right, with that being said, is there a second to the motion to unlock the calendar? Senator Little?
I second.
All right, are there any objections to the unlocking of the calendar? Seeing no objections, the calendar has been unlocked. Therefore, we will move into the vetoes under new business. So going to new business, we will be dealing with veto of Bill 93 first. Prior to us even starting the discussion of veto 93, I did want to, make clear that Senator Alvarez is no longer serving as senator. Therefore, I've been looking into, precedents and speaking with, our previous parliamentarian and hopefully soon to be parliamentarian again, in regards to what the process would look like for us to, does a piece of legislation die? Do we just, are we able to put a new sponsor in place? And so, going off of the U.S. House, there's a precedent set that if, a member of, our legislative body is no longer able to serve in, their capacity, whether it is they passed away or they're no longer in that position, the chair of the legislative body is able to appoint a caretaker sponsor, which is basically just another primary sponsor. And so with that, with conversations with the senators who are kind of working on this piece of legislation, I am hereby assigning Chair Leckie to be that caretaker for Bill 93. Therefore, Chair Leckie will be giving the opening when it comes to the 5 minutes, and he'll be helping answer questions. And also, Professor Dowell is still on the call, as well as, previous Senator Alvarez. And so if you guys do have any questions, you can make a motion to allow a non-senator to speak in that regard. But beyond that, when it comes to a veto process, basically what will occur is we will be dealing with this just as any other piece of legislation on the second reading. Beyond that, the only real difference between this and a piece of legislation on second reading is one, it's overturning a veto of the student body president. And basically to be able to do that, we need 2/3 vote of senators, and we need a minimum of quorum for senators. So we already have quorum. And so for this to get overturned, you guys would need to do a 2/3 vote. And beyond that, like I mentioned, if you have questions, you have non-senators who are here to help inform anything that you feel like you're not comfortable with. So hopefully that kind of covered the, questions that may have arisen if I did not say what I said. And so with that, we're now going to move forward into the veto of Bill 93. While Chair Leckie is giving his opening, I will pull up the document that the student body president sent, which is his justification. I had emailed it to you guys a while back, but if it's not in your memory, I will allow you guys to look over it again while Leckie is speaking. But yeah, you can go ahead, Chair Leckie, whenever you're ready with 5 minutes for your opening.
Well, I would first like to thank Mr. Alvarez for entrusting me with seeing this bill get through the Senate. Thank you to Decolonize FSU for your advocacy and for being such incredible advocates for this bill, and to Dr. Dowell, the FSU professor with decades of experience who helped to write the statement within this bill. It's unfortunate that we have to revisit this legislation. However, the student body president has decided that we must reconsider our near unanimous vote. Our school is uniquely compelled to acknowledge the history and pain of the land our school is on. This history, our use of seminal imagery, these issues require us to, at the very least, acknowledge our past. This is the bare minimum, but it will ensure that the past is not forgotten. It will serve as a reminder of our privilege and act as a check against miseducation. Now, our student body president vetoed this bill, despite the Senate passing it with just 1 no vote. We must address the justifications for this veto and pass this bill yet again. So first, the president cited West Virginia State Board of Education versus Barnett, which prohibits the government from forcing citizens to confess by word or act their faith therein. However, as government officials, we are not acting as citizens during government meetings. In the words of Justice Kennedy, writing for the majority in Garcetti versus Calabos, restricting speech that owes its existence to a public employee's professional responsibilities does not infringe any liberties the employee might have enjoyed as a private citizen. Now, the president may disagree, and I respect that, but I trust the legal opinion of a Supreme Court justice far more. When I swore President Darrell Deacon to office, both he and I had to say the oath of office. Government officials can be forced to say things. Second, the president claims that this bill was not brought to the attention of the FSU administration. That is incorrect, because the statement within the bill was both written by an FSU professor and already is policy for a number of FSU departments and classes. This statement is not new to this university. Third, the president claims that the Seminole Tribe of Florida was not consulted during this process. Now, this is misleading. And as we know now, the professor who authored this statement has worked with indigenous tribes for decades and is an expert on this issue. Acknowledging our past shouldn't be difficult. The whole point of this is to be disruptive, to change the status quo. And yes, Mr. President, this is uncomfortable and new, but we're privileged to be able to be debating the reading of a paragraph before our meetings. This school, standing on this stolen land, a school that uses Seminole imagery, this is the bare minimum we could be doing. It's our obligation to acknowledge our past, and it's the basic and moral action to take. Pass this bill, educate future members of SGA, and let's show respect for these lands. Thank you. I yield.
All right. Thank you for that. You yield with 1 minute and 56 seconds to your closing. And so hopefully, you guys are able to read over this. This is the veto justification. With that being said, we are now in technical non-debatable questions. So if any senators have any technical non-debatable questions that they would like answered, please raise your hand so that we can give you the opportunity to do so. Seeing no technical non-debatable questions, is there a motion to go into pro-con debate? Senator Lavender.
So moved.
Is there a second? Senator Murcia.
So seconded.
All right, with that being said, are there any objections to us going into pro-con debate? Seeing none, we are in the first round of pro. And there will be 3 minutes in the first round of pro. And if any senators would like to speak, please raise your hand. But prior to doing so, Pro Tem Harmon, if you're able to put a copy of Bill 93 and share that, that would be awesome. So with that being said, Chair Gonzalez, would you like to speak in pro? You have a point?
Yes. Point of parliamentary inquiry. So if we, let's say we amend this, would it be forwarded to be passed again so the president can sign it, or would we be voting to overturn the veto anyway?
All right, so in regards to that specific question, I can answer that. So when it comes to a veto of a bill, so if we vote on it as is, that'll be overturning the veto and then pushing it to the desk of the Vice President of Student Affairs. However, if you make an amendment to the piece of legislation, it is now considered new legislation. It will be sent again to the desk of the student body president, which he will be given the opportunity again to veto or sign it. And then it'll be going to the Vice President of Student Affairs. So if you decide to amend it in any way, it'll go back to Jonathan. And if you don't decide to amend it and then do the vote, it'll go to the VP of Student Affairs. And if the vote doesn't reach 2/3, it'll just be gone. All right, are there any senators wishing to speak in the first round of pro? Senator Murcia.
So point of clarification, if we're speaking in the first round of pro, are we speaking pro to overturn it or pro to sending it back to Jonathan?
Well, we're not going to send it back to Jonathan unless it's amended. But to answer that question, I would say because this piece of legislation is now, once a piece of legislation is vetoed, it is once again property of the Student Senate. So voting yes or speaking in pro would be in support of the legislation itself and against the veto, and voting no would be in support of the veto, and speaking in con would be in support of the veto.
Okay.
So yeah, of course. Any other points? And if you have a point, please put your finger up so I can I'll know that it's a point and not somebody wishing to speak. Senator England.
Thank you. Point of information for the sponsor is: would the sponsor be open to amending, as the student body president perhaps suggested, in regards to taking the compulsory speech out of it? Is that something you would be open to?
Sponsor, you may respond.
Oh, he's muted.
Yeah, I'm here. No, the only amendment that was former Senator Alvarez said he would be okay with is an amendment to designate a speaker, but we would much prefer to just straight overturn the veto.
Okay, thank you.
All right, are there any further points prior to us taking our pro speakers? I'm checking to see if anybody has their finger up in regards to a point. Seeing none. Senator Chabot, would you like to speak in the first round of pro?
Yes, I would. I'm so sorry. So yeah, this is a pretty common sense piece of legislation. It is acknowledging that we are on stolen land, and it is saying that we respect the land that we're on and we respect the tribes that came before us. By making this a requirement of every SGA meeting, we're taking a stance and saying, yeah, we see you, we hear you, and we want to be able to represent you better. As we have seen in other parts of statutes, simply encouraging action means that it most likely won't happen because it is merely a suggestion. We need to mandate this and we need to overturn the veto. And with that, I yield.
Thank you, Senator Chabot. With that, she yields 2 minutes and 21 seconds to the first round of pro. Senator Murcia.
Hey guys, so to echo her sentiments, I think that making this mandatory is something that we really should be doing. When the people came to colonize the United States, we didn't ask the indigenous people to leave, we made it mandatory for them to leave. So we shouldn't be asking people in student government to acknowledge that. We should be requiring it because it is absolutely disrespectful and it's a disgrace that we haven't done this before. And I really hope that all of you vote in pro of passing this because this is the first step. And while I do agree with exec that we need to be having open communication and opening up a dialogue, this is also something that we should have done a long time ago. So let's pass this and open up a dialogue. And with that, I yield.
Thank you, Senator Murcia. With that, she yields 1 minute and 36 seconds to the first round of pro. Senator Waters.
Thank you, Mr. President. To be honest, I'm just really tired of the bureaucratic maze that constantly obscures the change that we so need. We cite Supreme Court cases, we cite precedent, we cite conversations that we've had, but again, we do everything but fix the problem. It baffles me that this history and the pain that the Native people have endured has just been constantly swept underneath the rug. Land acknowledgements are in effect across campus, including my home, the Center for Leadership and Social Change. I also find it antithetical that we parade diversity and inclusion, but when the time comes to do so, we back into our corner of privilege. So this land acknowledgement is a step in the right direction for me. With that, I yield.
I'm muted, my bad. Senator Waters yields with 1 minute and 17 seconds to the first round of pro. Senator Sohos.
Yes, I have a point of information.
All right.
So if this goes to the VP of Student Affairs because we overturn it, can she veto this or no?
Yeah, she has that right as well.
Then would it die or can we overturn her too?
So that one's a little like confusing. I'm not gonna lie.
You cannot overturn her. Sorry.
I think for her, it was more easy to find.
All right. Yeah, I just wanted to ask because I wasn't here for when this was presented in the summer, so I never got to ask that question.
No worries.
It's all good questions.
With that being said, are there any other senators wishing to speak in the first round of pro with 1 minute and 17 seconds left? And if Senator Chabot and Senator Gonzalez, did you speak already? I don't think so. You did. If you guys wish to speak again, you have 2 opportunities to speak, whether it be pro and con on a specific piece of legislation. So make sure if you'd like to speak. Go ahead, Senator Gonzalez.
I haven't spoken yet. It was just a point.
Right,
Okay. So I have a couple of things to say about the oral justification that the executive branch made. First off, I want to say this is with full respect to the executive branch because I respect them completely in their personal and official capacities. But I think that some of the things they said were kind of just not right, because I mean, one thing that was said was consider opinions, and I don't understand what other opinions we have to consider. I think it's kind of funny and privileged that we, as people that are not in the affected community, have a say and are trying to block something that is not going to affect us. I don't understand how that works. So I just recommend everyone to kind of check yourself, check where you're coming from and where you're approaching this piece of legislation, and take that with you when you vote, because this is not going to affect us at the end of the day. It's going to affect people and give people that have been demanding change that have been silenced for so long, it's going to give them a little piece of the bread. It's not even that much. So I just want everybody to think about that. And with that, I yield.
We're muted again. All right, thank you, Senator Gonzalez. There's 4 seconds left in this round of pro. So if nobody wants to speak in this first round of pro, we'll be moving on to the first round of con. So seeing no speakers in the first round of pro left, we are now in the first round of con with 3 minutes on the clock. Would any senators like to speak in con of Bill 93? All right, seeing that no senators wish to speak, I will be entertaining a motion for the question to be called. However, if a senator would like to speak in the second round of pro, I hope you guys, whoever makes the motion, would consider that. Senator Gonzalez.
Yeah, I move to call the question.
Senator
On me. Yes, I second that motion.
All right, are there any objections to the motion of calling the question? All right, awesome. Seeing none, we will be moving on to the closing statement of Chair Leckie with 1 minute and 56 seconds. Whenever you're ready, Chair Leckie, you may begin with your closing.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just like to reiterate that it is precedent that the government can compel government officials to say things in their capacity as members of the government. Like I said, when I swore President Darrell Deacon to office, both he and I had to say the oath of office. We were compelled to say that. FSU is in a unique position because we're a school that uses indigenous imagery. It's not like we're just any other school. This is something that FSU should absolutely adopt and something that departments of our school already have. It's imperative that we adopt this legislation. And at the end of the day, all we're really asking for is to read a paragraph before our meetings. That's it. That's all this is. But it will go a long way in taking a first step. And with that, I yield.
Thank you, Chair Leckie. With that being said, we are now in line to vote. Senators, yes is yes to overturn the veto, no is no, do not overturn it, and go faster is abstention. And if you do abstain, those votes will not count in regards to the 2/3 majority required.
Senator Lewis, Senator Dean, Senator Bateman, Senator Wilkinson, okay, 30, that's 36. We need 2 more votes. Don't know who's missing. Let's see. All right, 1 second. I'm writing down the no's and abstentions. All right, vote reads 32 yes, 3 no, 3 abstentions. Veto is overturned on Bill 93.
All right. With that, claps to the sponsors. Congratulations. And so with that, the calendar is still unlocked. So if you guys would like to go on to the veto of Bill 26, we can do that. However, if you guys would like to return to the order of the calendar, we can do that as well. So it's honestly up to the discretion of senators. So you guys, yeah, Senator Leckie.
Unless Senator Adamik feels strongly about 26, because I think he's the sponsor of that, I move to return to orders of the day.
All right, is there a second to that motion? Wang.
So seconded.
All right, awesome. So we're going back to the order of the calendar. Are there any objections to that motion that Chair Leckie made? Okay, seeing none, we shall go back to the calendar. We were on Bill 79, which is sponsored by Senator Lavender and Reddy. Reddy is no longer a senator. He's the Attorney General now, but amending Student Body Statutes Chapter 300.2 referred to judiciary and passed in judiciary. So sponsor Lavender, if you could please raise your hand so that you could present for Bill 79.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. You got 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Mr. President, due to the fact that there are other pieces of legislation that will directly impact the student body, I'd like to table this bill.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then I also recognize there are a few other bills that were touching the same area, so I'd like to move to table those as well.
So did you want to move to table 79, 80, 81, and 82?
Correct.
All right. Is there a second to the motion to table those pieces of legislation? Senator England.
Yeah, I second across the board to table them all.
Okay. So is there any objections to the tabling of those pieces of legislation? Seeing none. Bill 79 until Bill 82 have all been tabled until next week. So they'll be tabled on the floor. With that being said, we will now go into Bill. It's formatted weird on the calendar itself, but we're going to go to Bill 83, Bill 84, and then go back to Bill 85. So Bill 83 is sponsored by Senator Dean and Fahey, an allocation of $2,000 from Senate projects to the professionals' clothing closet. Dean moved to put a bill on first reading. It was seconded, no objections. It was referred to SLAW then budget. It passed in SLAW, and it was amended and passed in budget. So sponsors Dean and Fahey, if you guys are present, please raise your hand so that you can present your piece of legislation.
Hello, sorry.
No worries, Senator. You got 5 minutes to present your opening statement to Bill 83, and if Senator Fahey's on the call as well, he can chime in. I don't think he is.
Hey, give me 1 sec.
No worries. This was just the allocation of $2,000 from Senate projects to the professionals closet. I know that you had amended it with a proviso that has now kind of taken place so that the funds would only be used after the new fiscal year started. Sponsor Dean, did you want us to move forward and come back to your piece of legislation, or?
Oh, no, sorry, I was ready. I just had something pop up real quick.
No worries, you have 5 minutes to present.
All right, I'm ready. All right, so this is a pretty simple piece of legislation. It's just moving over some money for that clothing closet, correct? So this is a simple allocation. It's been done in the past, and I wanted to make sure it's continue to be done. So it hasn't been done in a decent amount of time, which is why I brought it up today. Well, I brought it up a while ago, and now's when we're getting around to it. So I hope if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. And with that, I yield the remainder to my closing.
All right, thank you. Senator yields 4 minutes and 28 seconds to his closing. Are there any technical non-debatable questions on Bill 83. Seeing no technical non-debatable questions, is there a motion to move into rounds of pro-con debate? Senator Little,
So moved.
Senator Gonzalez, or Senator Sohos?
So seconded.
All right. With that being said, are there any objections to moving into the rounds of pro-con debate on Bill 83? Seeing none, we're in the first round of pro with 3 minutes on the clock. Whenever you are ready. Senator Lavender, you're speaking in pro. You have 3 minutes whenever you're ready.
I see Chair Lecky has a point.
Oh, Chair Lecky has a point. I apologize. I did not see that. So I will keep the clock at 3 minutes. Chair Lecky, your point.
Thank you, Senator Lavender. So point of information for the sponsor. Where did the $2,000 number come from? And has that changed since this was proposed many months ago?
Chair Dean, you can respond.
Yeah, so that $2,000 number is really just a rounded number based off talks with the professional clothing closet about what would best suit them for their needs. I did converse with them and that they were content. That's also a number that's been given in the past. I believe it's, if not that exact amount, then a similar amount, probably like 1,500 or so. So that's where that number came from.
And if I could ask a follow-up.
You can go ahead.
Have you talked to them recently, considering, circumstances have changed pretty significantly in the past few months?
Recently, no. I have not reached out to them. I know I last spoke to them and it was still when COVID was starting to happen, and they said that they would still love to see this happen no matter what, because in the end of the day, the clothing is still clothing and people need it for professional matters. So I haven't spoken to them recently, but I did speak to them once the pandemic was in action. So they had said, yes, please.
Are there any other senators wishing to make a point? If you do, please make a point with your finger if your camera is on. If not, just, send me a message. But I don't see anybody else with a point. So with that, Senator Lavender, you can start us off with the first round of pro with 3 minutes.
Hi, Senate. We heard this bill in budget. It's pretty straightforward, $2,000 to the professional closet. I think especially right now, because of COVID and a lot of students are struggling to get those professional clothing that they need to get so they can interview for those jobs. This is a really great way that we can impact students. I know in budget, part of the conversation was, is this the right number? And so I want to remind Senate that if the clothing closet says, hey, we'd like more funding, we can absolutely do that. But I think this is a great way right now to get things rolling. I yield the remainder of my time.
Thank you, Senator Lavender. There's 2 minutes and 29 seconds. I'm still on the clock in the first round of pro. Senator Little.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo Senator Lavender's sentiments. I know I've been involved in the last couple of weeks with a couple professional clubs that are starting to do tryouts, and I've had students that have come to me personally and said, I don't have professional clothing to wear for the tryout, what should I do? Normally my move is to refer them to the professional clothing closet. And so I think that this is a really important thing, since right now resources and in-person access to things like professional clothing are so limited that this is a really good time for us to be allocating funds. So with that, I yield.
Thank you, Senator Little. You yielded with 1 minute and 57 seconds left in the first round of pro. I will be recognizing you, Senator Bateman, but before I do so, I just wanted to remind senators, please don't refer to any other senators by name, because there is a specific rule that prohibits us to do so. So just keep that in mind in the future. I know it's happened a couple times, but just keep it, in your minds. So with that being said, Senator Bateman, you have 1 minute and 50 seconds.
All right, thank you. During committee this summer, I was hesitant to support this bill because we didn't know what the fall semester was going to look like. But now that we were able to see that the university is still functioning, we're still here, we're still doing things, I couldn't support this bill anymore. And I just wanted to express that to the sponsor in particular.
Thank you, Senator Bateman. All right, I will assume so. And therefore, there's 1 minute and 39 seconds left on the clock for the first round of pro. If any other senators would like to speak. Senator Harmon, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I can't raise my hand. So I really like this. I'm glad to see a bill that substantially impacts students. I think we should do a lot more of this. We have $30,000 in Senate projects. We should be using it in any way we can. Yes, we're virtual, but we'll find ways. So I commend the sponsor for doing this. I know a few people that have used this in the past, and they've really loved it. So I'm glad that we're taking the initiative to do so. So I yield in pro.
Thank you, Senator Harman. With that being said, there's still 1 more minute left in the round of pro. Are there any other senators wishing to speak? Seeing none, we are now in the first round of con. Are there any senators wishing to speak in the first round of con? There's 3 minutes on the clock. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to call the question. Senator Sohos.
I move to call the question.
All right, is there a second? Senator Waters.
Thank you, Mr. President. So seconded.
All right, are there any objections to the motion of calling the question? Seeing no objections, the question has been called. And Senator Dean, you have 4 minutes and 28 seconds whenever you're ready for your closing.
Yeah, sorry about that. Thank you guys so much for hearing this, and I appreciate all the nice comments. I am looking forward to hopefully messaging the professional clothing closet saying that this was passed in the Senate. And I know that they'd be excited to hear that, especially with all of this negative in our world right now. It'd be nice for a little bright light. So with that, thank you so much for your time, and vote yes on this bill.
All right, thank you, Senator Dean, who's now yielded. With that being said, you are all now in line to vote. Senators, yes is yes, no is no, and go faster is abstention. So please cast your votes.
All right, so, 35, we need 2 more votes. Who is missing? Senator Kalink and Senator Maiman. I think Senator Maiman is the only one left now. All right, seeing as though he's not here, 36 yes, 0 no, 0 abstentions, not candidate. Bill 83 does pass.
Awesome. Virtual claps to the sponsor. That is amazing. Thank you so much for the work that you guys are doing. With that being said, we will now move into Bill 84, which is sponsored by Senator Leckie, amending student body statutes, Chapter 509, with regards to appointing general counsel. It was referred to judiciary, and then it was tabled in judiciary and passed in judiciary on June 15th. With that being said, Sponsor Leckie, whenever you're ready, you have 5 minutes for your opening.
I would like to move to table bills 84 and 85.
All right, is there a second to that motion? Senator Little.
I second.
All right, are there any objections to Bill 84 and 85 being tabled? Are there any objections? All right, seeing none, Bill 84 and Bill 85 have now been tabled. With that being said, we will go into Bill 86. It is put under first reading. However, Bill 86 passed through judiciary and IA, therefore it is now on the Senate floor. So with that being said, Bill 86 is sponsored by Senator Dotson, Stinson, and Adams, amending Student Body Statutes Chapter 100.5 to add Deputy Treasurer and members of the Executive Office to the list of major positions. It was referred to Judiciary, then IA. It was amended and passed in Judiciary, then amended and passed again in the Internal Affairs Committee. With that being said, Senator Stinson and Senator Adams, the floor is yours whenever you're ready. If you could please raise your hand. Oh, perfect, Senator Adams. Senator Stinson, if you'd like to speak as well.
I move to table Bill 86.
All All right.
For
Bill,
the same sentiments Senator Lavender expressed.
all right. With that being said, Bill 86 will be tabled if there's a second to Senator Adams' motion. Senator Gonzalez,
So seconded.
have any objections to the tabling of Bill 86? All right, seeing no objections, we will go to Bill 88, which actually just passed through the Rules and Calendar Committee, which is sponsored by Senator Yanam and Senator Bogle, who was a summer senator and no longer a senator, amending Student Body Statutes, Chapter 207.4 with regards to the new senator orientation, referred to Judiciary then Rules. It was amended and passed in Judiciary, and then it was tabled in Rules. However, it passed today in the Rules and Calendar Committee prior to, us coming to the Senate. And so with that being said, Senator Yanam, you have 5 minutes for your opening whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this bill essentially adds an element to new senator orientation that requires that the administrator of new senator orientation inform new senators about allies and safe zone training, greened up by senator training, and the Diversity and Inclusion Institute. It does not require that they can have people from these programs come and talk. It just requires that these programs are mentioned as well as the benefits of them are mentioned. I had President Darrell Deek, at the time, Pro Tempore Darrell Deek, implement this within the new senator orientation of the summer. I sent him 3 slides that had all of the contact information for these programs as well as what they do and the benefits that they provide to the community. It's very straightforward, and I know that Senator Bogle, when he was here, mentioned in Judiciary how beneficial it was to have that information within his new senator orientation. I think including this within new senator orientation bridges the gap within providing a proactive step in informing political officers about how important these programs are and also about where they can find these resources. It is also a very simple step to include. It does not take up much time. It does not take up much effort to do each and every new senator orientation. And it has a lasting impact within the communities as a whole. And with that, I yield for my closing.
All right, sponsor yields with 3 minutes and 44 seconds to her closing. With that, we are in the rounds of technical non-debatable questions. Do any senators wish to speak or ask a question in technical non-debatable? Senator Adams, is that for technical non-debatable or is that from earlier? I think that.
No, sorry, I'm trying to remove it.
All right, no worries. I'll lower your hand for you. So with that being said, is there anyone who would like to make a technical non-debatable question in regards to Bill 88? Seeing none, is there a motion to go into rounds of pro-con debate? Senator Lavender.
So moved.
Senator Little.
So seconded.
All right, with that being said, are there any objections to going into pro-con debate for this piece of legislation? Seeing none, I did just want to make a quick point of clarification and echo the sentiments that the senator who presented the bill brought up in regards to, me as pro temp when I was serving that capacity was able to easily insert this into the new orientation, that I had for those new senators. And honestly, I think it was of great value to them because they truly did enjoy that section towards the end of the new orientation, and they felt it, gave them resources and, things that they don't think they would have had if we did not do it. So yeah, that's all I want to say. With that being said, are there any senators wishing to speak in the first round of pro because there is 3 minutes on the clock for it? All right, seeing none, are there any senators wishing to speak in the first round of con? If there are none, I am accepting a motion to call the question. Senator Leckie.
I move to pass by unanimous consent.
All right, is there a second? Senator Gonzalez.
So seconded.
All right, with that being said, are there any objections to the passage by unanimous consent? Seeing none, it passed by unanimous consent. Congratulations, sponsor. Virtual claps, everybody. Be awesome. Yes, consent. With that being said, we are now moving into our next piece of legislation, which would be Bill 88 and Bill 97. Nope, that's the wrong spot. I apologize, guys. I had scrolled to the wrong area of the calendar. And so after Bill 88 is Bill 89, which is sponsored by Senator Murcia, amending Student Body Statutes Chapter 401.3 regarding omnibus bills. And it was referred to Judiciary and amended and passed in Judiciary. And so with that being said, Senator Murcia, if you are ready to give your opening statement in regards to Bill 89, you may do so at this time.
Echoing the sentiments of both Senator Lavender and Senator Adams, I move to table Bill 89 and 90.
All right, with that being said, is there a motion to, is there a second to that motion? Senator Chabot.
So seconded.
All right, are there any objections to the tabling of those pieces of legislation? Seeing none, we will now move on to Bill 91, which is sponsored by Mujay and Adamique, amending Student Body Statutes Chapter 807 with regards to updating the SOAR Board to engagement ambassadors. It was referred to Finance and Judiciary, passed Finance, and passed in Judiciary. So with that being said, Senator Mujay and Adamique, if you could please raise your hands to give your opening statements, and you have 5 minutes on the clock when you're ready.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe this was passed in our last Senate meeting.
Oh, you guys are correct. I apologize.
But while we're on here too, is there any way to update the agenda for further notice when referring to SOAR Board and beginning announcements to changing it to engagement ambassadors on the Senate agenda?
I would say that for that, I think we would have to do like a resolution for rules of procedure, because in rules of procedure it outlines the specific part of like how the calendar will be outlined, and so I don't want to break our rules of procedure by changing it. And so I definitely do think that it's appropriate to change it. I just think once a resolution is proposed and passed, we can do so. All right. With that being said, so Bill 91 was actually passed. I apologize for missing that. So now we'll be on Bill 92, sponsored by Senator J. Alvarez, Chabot, and Murcia, amending Student Body Statute Chapter 304.3, which is actually tabled in the Internal Affairs Committee. So that one we are not hearing at this time. Bill 93 was overturned. Bill 94, sponsored by Senators J. Alvarez and Murcia, amending Student Body Statute Chapter 304.7 regarding forwarding letters, referred to IA, Judiciary, then Rules, amended and passed in IA. Passed in rules. And did it get passed through Judiciary, Senator Leckie? Bill 94.
I would have to check. I'm not sure, because again, that was from a while ago, but I will check right now.
No worries. We'll move forward and we'll come back to Bill 94 if it did end up passing through Judiciary. So with that being said, Bill 95, sponsored by Senator J. Alvarez, actually dies on the Senate floor due to the fact that Senator Alvarez is no longer a senator, and it was amending Student Body Statutes Chapter 203.6 regarding publishing of minutes. And it was referred to SLAW Judiciary, then Rules. It was tabled in SLAW, and then amended in SLAW, and then it ended up passing in Rules. So I don't understand why Judiciary is constantly left out of these. Senator Chabot.
I believe 94 did pass. I'm pulling up the minutes right now. Actually, no, we never got to 94. Sorry, I misspoke.
No worries. And did you guys get to 95?
95. Okay. Yes, 94, 95 passed, as well as 96.
Okay. And then I was going to say for 95, I misspoke earlier by saying that it died. It'll just sit indefinitely on the calendar because the sponsor is no longer with us. So yeah, so it'll just be on our calendar.
Yeah, if you want to look to make sure, it's under Judiciary Minutes for 7-13-2020.
7-13. Thank you, Vice Chair Chabot. And that was in regards to 94 and 96, making it through Judiciary, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. So with that being said, Bill 94, sponsored by Senator Alvarez and Murcia, amending Student Body Statutes regarding Chapter 307.3 regarding forwarding letters was passed through all three committees that it was intended to go through, IA, Judiciary, and Rules. Therefore, it is now on the floor. So with that being said, Senator Murcia, if you would like to give your opening statement for that piece of legislation.
As for my last statement, I will be also tabling this one. Thank you.
Okay, so Bill 94 was going to be tabled. If there is a second, is there a second to Senator Murcia's motion? Senator Chabot.
Seconded.
All right, are there any objections? Seeing none, we'll be moving forward to Bill 96. Bill 96 is sponsored by Senator Alvarez and Senator Leckie, amending Student Body Statutes, Chapter 400.5 regarding abstentions. It was referred to Judiciary, then Rules, passed in Judiciary and Rules, and is now on the floor. Senator Leckie, if you'd like to give your 5-minute opening statement, the floor is yours.
I'd like to table this bill.
All right, fantastic. Is there a second to the tabling of this piece of legislation? Senator Murcia.
So seconded.
All right, so is there any objections? Seeing none, Bill 96 has been tabled, which kind of concludes our legislation, like in regards to bills for the night, and we will reconvene in regards to all those things that were tabled next week. When it comes to constitutional amendments, Amendment 1, sponsored by Senator Leckie to create Constitutional Review Commission in the student body constitution, referred to Judiciary, Law, then Rules, was amended and passed in Judiciary and failed in Law. Amendment 2 was sponsored by Senator Murcia and Chabot, amending student body constitution in regards to the number of student senators, referred to Judiciary, Law, then Rules, amended and passed in Judiciary and passed in Law, and it is still in Rules. Amendment 3, sponsored by Senator Murcia, amending student body statute or student body constitution to limit the number of students needed for a petition of recall, was referred to Judiciary, Law, then Rules, was amended and passed in Judiciary and passed in Law, and as well is still in the Rules and Calendar Committee. Amendment 4, sponsored by Senator J. Alvarez, was amending the student body constitution to abolish the offices of the student body president and vice president to establish an executive council, referred to Judiciary, Law, then Rules, tabled in Judiciary, and then failed in Judiciary. Amendment 5 and 6 are both sponsored by Senator Alvarez. 5 is to make the student body president and vice president run separately. Amendment 6 is sponsored by Senator Alvarez, editing the student body constitution with regards to the student body treasurer. And so with both of those constitutional amendments, they will also be sitting indefinitely on the floor because, again, the sponsor is no longer a senator. And so with that, we will be moving forward into resolutions. When it comes to our resolutions, Resolution 45, also sitting indefinitely because Senator Porter has graduated and is no longer a senator. Therefore, his resolution is kind of just there, which is regarding the university's partnership with HonorLock. He had moved to place the resolution on the floor. It was seconded by Yanam, referred to SLAW, passed in SLAW, remanded back to SLAW, tabled in SLAW, amended and passed in SLAW, and it's now on the floor and will stay there until further notice. Resolution 48 was sponsored by Senator Yanam and Bogle, commending the 5 years of education and service that Green Dot has provided FSU and encouraging members of the student body to go through Green Dot training. Referred to SLAW, then Rules. It was tabled in SLAW, amended in SLAW, and it is still tabled in Rules. Resolution 49 was sponsored by Senator Chabot and Leckie. It was encouraging the city of Tallahassee to aid and support students who suffer hardships due to COVID. It was referred to SLAW, then Rules. It was tabled in SLAW, amended and passed in SLAW, and then it also passed in Rules. Therefore, we will be hearing Resolution 49 on the floor. Senator Chabot, Leckie, and Murcia, if you would all like to raise your hand so that you guys can begin to give your opening statements. With that being said, you guys do have 5 minutes whenever you are ready.
Yeah, thank you. So basically, this resolution was written at the beginning of the pandemic and submitted at the first Senate of the summer, and it is still here. Months later, when students have faced many hardships, especially with off-campus housing and trying to get in and out of leases that are predatory. And we as a student senate need to take action and need to support our off-campus students, as the administration has not done so. They have yet to release a statement to apartment complexes who actually sponsor us in various sports activities, saying that we need to help our off-campus students and that there needs to be rent relief for them. Right now, under the guidelines of the Student Aid Relief Fund, if a student has a lease in Tallahassee but lives elsewhere, say that they moved back home for the COVID pandemic, they cannot get aid from the Emergency Relief Fund to pay their lease in Tallahassee that they cannot get out of. So this has been on the docket for months. It needs to be passed, and we need to show that we support not just our students who live on campus, but those who live off campus as well. If any of the other co-sponsors would like to say anything.
I would just like to say, I think that our SGA has fallen pretty significantly behind other SGAs in terms of our COVID response. Students are already on campus, and quite frankly, we haven't really done much about the issue. I think this is a very important step, and although it's symbolic and it's just a statement from the Senate, it's important that students know that we're standing up for them, even if it's against our own administration. So I think this should pass, and I encourage everybody to vote yes.
Are there any further statements from you guys? No, with that, are you guys yielding? Okay, I'll just yield with 3 minutes and 9 seconds to your closing for Resolution 49. With that being said, we are now in the round of technical non-debatable questions for Resolution 49. Are there any technical non-debatable questions? Seeing none, is there a motion to go into pro-con debate? Anybody? Somebody? All right, Senator Gonzalez.
So moved.
Senator Martin.
So seconded.
All right, with that being said, we are now in the first round of pro-con debate. We're now in the first round of pro with 3 minutes on the clock. Are there any senators objecting to us going into pro-con? Seeing none, there's 3 minutes on the clock for the first round of pro. Any senators wishing to speak in the first round of pro on resolution? Senator England.
Yes, hello. I just very quickly wanted to say I think this is really, really important, and I want to thank the sponsors for their work on this. I do support this bill. I just want the record to know that I just disagree with the some of the phrasing the sponsor used levied against the FSU administration. But aside from that, I think the bill is very important, and I do support the bill. Resolution, not the bill, the resolution. I'm sorry. Thank you, and I yield.
Senator yields with 2 minutes and 37 seconds. Any other senators wishing to speak in the first round of pro? Seeing none, we're in the first round of con. Any senators wishing to speak in the first round of con? If there are no senators wishing to speak in the first round of con, a motion can be made to call the question on this resolution. Senator Gonzalez.
I move to pass by unanimous consent.
All right, is there a second to that motion? Senator Little?
So seconded.
Is there an objection to the unanimous consent? All right, seeing none, congratulations. Sponsor has been accepted by unanimous consent. Virtual claps, everybody. With that being said, yes? Somebody say hello? No? Okay, I guess I'm hearing things. With that being said, we are moving forward to Resolution 52, which is sponsored by Senator Murcia and Leckie, amending the Student Senate Rules of Procedure 1.7 and 6.4 with regards to the Internal Affairs Committee. Referred to IA then rules. It passed in IA and in rules. With that being said, Senator Murcia and Senator Leckie, would you guys like to begin and make your opening statement?
So if Senator Leckie doesn't have a problem, seeing as there are other resolutions that affect the student body more than this one, I would like to table it. I can see you, so if that's okay, cool. So yeah, we're gonna move to table. Thank you.
Okay, is there a second for that? Chair Leckie.
So seconded.
All right, any objections to tabling Resolution 52? Seeing none, we are now on Resolution 53. Resolution 53 is sponsored by Senator Murcia, amending Student Senate Rules of Procedure 10.17, referred to rules and passed in rules. Senator Murcia, would you like to give your opening to Resolution 53?
So seeing as there are still more resolutions that affect the student body more than this one, I move to table 53, 54, and 55.
Did you mean 56? Because 55 is not going to be heard tonight.
56 is not mine, so I will not be making that call. But
Okay. That's fine. 55 is still in rules and calendar. So with that being said, resolution 53 and 54, there's a motion to table them. Is there a second to Senator Murcia's motion? Senator Little.
So seconded.
All right, with that being said, resolution 52 through 54 are all now tabled. And is there any objections to the tabling of said resolutions? Seeing none, we are now on resolution 56. Resolution 56 is sponsored by Senator Stinson in England. Student Senate's commitment to the Student Veteran Center and the Cord and Coin Ceremony referred to law, amended and passed into law on July 7th. Senator England and Senator Stinson, could you please raise your hand so you guys will be able to give your 5-minute opening statement in regards to that resolution? Senator England.
Thank you. I see Senator Stinson's raised his hand as well.
I unmuted. I attempted to unmute you both. I gave him.
I'm going to defer to him. He did the most of the work here.
All right, Stinson. You have 5 minutes. You're opening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, the Student Veteran Center, they Governor DeSantis changed the direct line funding to them, and so the coordinator Billy Francis, he doesn't receive that funding directly, and so this resolution is basically just saying that he should continue being in charge of this money so he can allocate the money properly, tell the student veterans since he is in fact in charge of it, and this resolution is basically reaffirming that we still see the Student Veteran Center as important, and so it should still receive that direct funding. With that, I yield.
All right, sponsor yields 4 minutes and 25 seconds to his closing. Are there any technical non-debatable questions for the sponsor at this time? Seeing no technical non-debatable questions, is there a motion to go into rounds of pro-con debate? Senator Gonzalez.
So moved.
Is there a second? Senator Wang.
So seconded.
All right, so we are now in pro-con debate unless there's an objection. Any objections? Seeing none, we are now in the first round of pro with 3 minutes on the clock. Is there anybody wishing to speak in the first round of pro? Senator Gonzalez, did you want to speak in pro? No? Okay, no worries. Seeing none, we are now in the first round of con with 3 minutes on the clock as well. Anybody wishing to speak in the first round of con for resolution 56? All right, seeing none, I will now be entertaining a motion to call the question in regards to resolution 56. Senator Gonzalez.
I move to pass by unanimous consent.
Is there a second? Senator Medley Nera.
So seconded.
All right, is there any objection to the passage of unanimous consent for resolution 56? Senator England, okay, perfect. With that being said, congratulations, sponsors. Unanimous consent has been accepted. Virtual claps, everybody. Great work. Consent. All right, and so after resolution 56, resolution 58, sponsored by Senator Jay Alvarez, amending student rules of procedure 13.8 regarding senator absences, referred to rules 7.1. Resolution 59, sponsored by Senator Rudd, Adam Eek, Adams, Kuznier, England, Mouget, Murray, Selva, and Stinson, that had passed, which was resolution 59. Resolution 60, it was sponsored by Senators Waters, Garcia, Alvarez, Alfredo Alvarez, and John Alvarez, Gabadaj, Gonzalez, Medlinera, Palacio, and Tooks, advocating for the renaming of Doak Campbell Stadium to Charlie Ward Field. Was referred to SLAW, then rules. It's tabled in SLAW, and then passed in SLAW. Therefore, it is now in rules and calendar. Resolution 61 was sponsored by Senator Garcia, Waters, Alvarez, both Alvarez's, Gabadaj, Gonzalez, Medlinera, Palacio, was advocating for the renaming of Swanee Room to the Ava Killing Swanee Room. It was referred to SLAW, then rules, tabled in SLAW, amended and passed in SLAW, and it is now still in rules. Resolution 62 was sponsored by Senator Lecky, Gonzalez, Waters, Garcia, Gabadaj, Mouget, and Rudd, encouraging Florida State to require the completion of a race and ethnicity credit before graduation, referred to SLAW, then rules. It is still tabled in SLAW. Resolution 63, sponsored by Chabot and Alvarez, urging the leadership of FSU ROTC to take means into means to remove any battle streamers related to the actions taken by Confederate military forces during the Civil War was referred to SLAW, then rules, tabled in SLAW, and passed in SLAW, which means it is still in rules. Resolution 64, sponsored by Chabot, Murcia, J. Alvarez, Hinks, and Yanam, strongly urging the administration to consider its reversal of their previous decision to allow employees to care for children while working remotely from home, passed in the Senate last meeting we had of the summer. Resolution 65, sponsored by Senator J. Alvarez, Lecky. Yeah.
There's a point. Sorry,
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just reading. Go ahead.
Point of clarification, Resolution 62 was withdrawn in SLAW.
Oh, I apologize. I did not know that. I will make sure to take note, and that next week's calendar will reflect that.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Of course. Withdrawn in SLAW. With that being said, I was reading over for Resolution 65, sponsored by Senator Alvarez, Lecky, Murcia, Chabot, Yanam, Hinks, and Wang, encouraging the university administration to expand the means in which the student body is educated regarding indigenous nations and reaching out to other nations that use the Seminole name. That resolution is referred to the Student Life and Academic Affairs Committee and the Rules and Calendar Committee. Resolution 66 already passed in Senate, which was apologizing to survivors on behalf of the individuals that did not showcase their support for survivors during the Senate meeting. With that being said, Resolution 67, sponsored by Senator Lecky and Chabot, sponsoring the creation of an SGA task force on COVID-19. I would like to hear that on the floor due to the fact that it's so pertinent, and in regards to the fact that we need to get to work when it comes to creating a task force and allowing the Student Senate to lead the charge when it comes to helping students, because we're behind the game, guys. So with that being said, Senator Lecky and Chabot, you guys have 5 minutes for your opening whenever you're ready.
Well, thank you, President Darrell Deacon. Thank you for making this a priority for the Senate. This is honestly the most important thing that I've worked on in my 2 years here in SGA. The COVID-19 crisis is vast and uniquely detrimental to students. Thousands of FSU students have already lost employment, struggled to pay their rent and buy groceries, work in unsafe working conditions around our campus. This disease disproportionately affects low-income students and students of color, which will only further exacerbate inequalities on our campus. This problem requires collaboration between the legislative and executive branches of SGA. Now, the task force that I'm proposing in this binding resolution will do 3 things. 1, we will identify any unused SGA funds and determine how to best redistribute the money back to students. We may seek to give the money back to the Emergency Relief Fund. We may grant hazard pay to OPS waged workers. We may buy masks and other PPE for students. Our budget is a moral document, and the way we spend our money defines our priorities. And during this crisis, we have to adapt. The second thing we will do is advocate for students who are suffering during the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. We'll fight for student employees on campus who feel unsafe in their place of work. We'll elevate the concerns of students who are living in dorms that have centralized air. And we'll stand up to the university administration when they make bad decisions, and we'll direct students to the resources that are provided by the university. We must listen to the concerns of our constituents and act as their voices. That's what our job is. The third thing we'll do is connect our resources to the executive branch. To solve this problem, both of our branches of government have to be on the same page and united in our approach. The advantages of a task force rather than an ad hoc is that the members of the executive and legislative branch can work together in an equal capacity. The last time we had a task force, the former President pro tempore established one for the purpose of creating a time capsule for the union. Now, rather than just unilaterally deciding that I want to make a task force, like the last one was created, I'm presenting to you a resolution to get the consent of the Senate so we can get this thing going. Quite frankly, we've fallen behind on our response to COVID-19, like the president has said. University SGAs around the country have quickly eclipsed the amount of resources that we have provided to students. We're one of the most powerful SGAs in the country, and so we have to have a robust response. Let's pass this resolution and get to work. Sponsor Chabot, if you want to say anything, you're welcome to.
Yeah, so I just have one thing. We're in a competition with the University of Florida right now in how many people can sign a pledge saying that they'll follow CDC guidelines. why don't we try to challenge them in how much relief aid we can provide to our students through student government? They've already allocated over $500,000 to emergency relief. Why don't we try to beat them in that rather than beat them in the number of signatures a pledge can get? And with that, we yield the remainder of our time.
With that being said, you guys yield 1 minute and 48 seconds to your closing statement. And we are now in rounds of technical non-debatable question. Are there any technical non-debatable questions for the sponsors by any sitting senators? Seeing none, is there a motion to go into pro-con debate? Senator Little.
So moved.
Is there a second? Senator Mayman.
So moved. So second.
All right, thank you. With that being said, is there any objection to going into the rounds of pro-con debate? Seeing none, we are in the first round of pro with 3 minutes on the clock. Are there any senators wishing to speak in pro of Resolution 67? You may do so at this time. Senator Murcia.
Hey, so I'm going to speak through Elizabeth's computer because, we're having a little bit of problems here. But I really support this. This should have been passed very early on in the summer when we were having a lot more issues as well. Not that we're not having issues now, but this is something that needs to be passed now and should have been passed earlier. And with that, I yield.
All right, with that being said, 2 minutes and 41 seconds still on the clock for the round of pro. Any other senators wishing to speak? Seeing none, we are now in the first round of con with 3 minutes on the clock. Any senators wishing to speak in the first round of con? Con, not clon. That's funny. Anybody? Nobody? All right. So with that being said, I will be entertaining a motion to call the question. Senator Medley-Nera.
So moved. Pardon me.
Are you moving to call the question? Unanimous consent, acclamation. She muted herself.
Yeah, pardon me. I'm having technical difficulties. I actually want to move to pass by acclamation, please.
All right. With that being said, is there a second to that motion? Senator Mayman.
So seconded.
Are there any objections to passage of Resolution 67 by acclamation? All right. Seeing none, it has passed by acclamation. With that being said, I am going to go back to the calendar and I will assign the rest of the legislation. That's what we're going to do right now, just assign those. I just want to give you guys a brief overview because I want to end this meeting because, for me, I set a hard deadline of 11 p.m. It's 11. And so with that being said, we're going to assign the resolutions that are still on the calendar. I'm going to assign liaisonships for the 5 senators who reached out and told me that they have, spoken to people in regards to that. And then if the pro temp, as well as any other members of the leadership or advisors would like to make any statements, we will do that. But veto of Bill 26 will stay on the calendar and roll over to our next meeting. With that being said, Resolution 68, sponsored by Senator Chabot, Murcia, Waters, Alvarez, Wang, Garcia, Martin, Hinks, and Palacios, strongly supporting the removal of the Epps statue and renaming of the Epps building, was passed in Senate on 7/15. Resolution 69, sponsored by Wang, Bogle, Yanam, and Hinks, amending Student Senate Rules of Procedure 5.12 regarding ad hoc committees. Resolution 69 will go to Judiciary and Rules. Resolution 70, sponsored by Senators Rudd and Stinson, Senator Adams, Chabot, Wang, and Waters, urging for the renaming of the BK Roberts Hall and SGA advocacy to do so. Resolution 70 is assigned to the Racial Inclusivity and Justice Ad Hoc, Student Life and Academic Affairs, and the Rules and Calendar Committee. Resolution 72, sponsored by Senator Sam, Dean, Gonzalez, and Martin, condemning the actions of Fort Hood, standing in solidarity with survivors, and pledging to support student veterans, passed in Senate on 7/15. Resolution 73, sponsored by Dean and Alvarez, Adams, Adamique, Chabot, Kuznier, Daraldi, England, Gabadaj, Garcia, Gonzalez, Hinks, Little, Lecky, Martin, Medley-Nera, Mouget, Murcia, Murray, Rudd, Ryan, Sam, and Sohos, recognizing Dr. Danielle Acosta's dedication and service to the Student Senate and want to rename the Senate Award for Excellence, be renamed the Danielle Acosta Senate Award for Excellence by a bill. Resolution 73 to be sent to Rules and Calendar. Resolution 74 sponsored by Martin, Adams, Chabot, Dean, Gabadaj, Gonzalez, and Murray, encouraging and acknowledging student leaders in the Student Senate, Executive Branch, and all other student government entities to focus on education and accountability to create an inclusive and productive environment at Florida State University is to be referred to the Student Life and Academic Affairs Committee. Resolution 75, sponsored by Chabot and Leckie, the Senate Judiciary Committee voted to establish a Senate Investigative Board pursuant to Statute 406. So that will go, Resolution 75 will go to the Rules and Calendar Committee. Resolution 76, sponsored by Leckie and Ashley Gonzalez, urges the university to expand the diversity credit requirement, and that will be going to the Student Life and Academic Affairs Committee. Resolution 77, sponsored by Senator Harmon, remembers the FSU students who passed during the 1920 school year, also going to the Student Life and Academic Affairs Committee. Resolution 78, sponsored by Senator Sohos, which rules 1.8 and 1.9 as currently written inhibit the Senate President or Senate President pro tempore from addressing the Senate and their defense other than during short rounds of pro-con debate. Therefore, I think this is talking about no confidence votes, but Resolution 78 will go to the Rules and Calendar Committee because it's discussing rules of procedure. And then Resolution 79, sponsored by Adams and Gonzalez, Dean, Leckie, Martin, Red, and Sam, explain the issues Senate had to deal with during the summer of 2020. That resolution will go to the Student Life and Academic Affairs Committee. With that being said, that is the assignments of the legislation. Any unfinished business? I don't believe we have any. If there are any senators who would like to make a statement of dissent in regards to anything that occurred today, please let us know. And if you do want to do so, let us know as soon as possible, like, right now. And if you don't, then you don't. Moving forward, new business, the veto of Bill 93. We already overturned that. And is there a motion to table the veto of Bill 26 until further notice? Senator Little.
I move to table it till further notice.
Tabled. All right. Is there a second? Senator Chabot.
Second.
All right. Are there any objections? Seeing none, now in new business, I would like to do the liaison appointments. And so for that, for the Black Student Union liaison, Senator Ashley Gonzalez, I'm not really sure like what the format, I think I just say you're appointed. I've never appointed liaisons, it's pretty cool, but congratulations, Senator Gonzalez, you're now the BSU liaison. For Peace Jam Southeast, Senator Sasha Martin, you are now appointed to be, you're now appointed to be the liaison for Peace Jam Southeast. Senator England, you are now going to be appointed as the liaison for the executive branch. Senator Bateman, you are to be appointed as the liaison for the medical response unit. And Senator Selva, you are to be appointed as the JSU liaison. With that being said, if any other senators wish to be a liaison for an organization, please reach out and let me know. And in doing so, please make sure that you have actually spoken to the organization you'd like to represent prior to letting me know, because it is very, very imperative that the organization you want to represent is okay with you representing them, because I think that's very important. Beyond that, we are in closing announcements. Do any senators have any closing announcements that they would like to make? Senator Chabot, do you have a closing announcement? No? Okay. Seeing none, we are in advisor announcements. Deshaun, Dr. B, did you guys have anything you wanted to say?
Hello, everyone. First, I want to say welcome back to the fall semester. I know this is the first of many long nights we're going to have. For those that do not know me, I'm Deshaun Scott. I use he, him, his pronouns. So I work in the Department of Student Governance and Advocacy. So I advise HLSU, VSU, or funding boards. As well, I get to co-advise SGA with Dr. Brandon Bowden, along with our graduate intern, Anna. She'll introduce herself next. But I understand we're living in a time of uncertainty. And I just wanted to say thank you all for all your patience and understanding and perseverance during these trying times that we have right now. I know there's so much more going on with caring for our community, social distancing, and living very differently than what we are used to. So please know if you all have any questions or concerns or need help with anything, you can always feel free to reach out to myself as well as other faculty and staff members on campus. We're here to help you and to advocate on your behalf in order to enhance you all student experiences. So keep a lookout for all the amazing virtual events we're gonna have this semester, potentially this school year, depending on how COVID ends. and I look forward to welcoming you all personally on campus when this crisis is over. But till then, I offer my thanks and best wishes for your health and continued success. And remember, please wear a mask. And if our Grant Anna want to introduce herself.
Anna.
You got to unmute. Stop. Here we come, Anna.
I asked her to unmute herself. My bad.
Hi, it's no problem. Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Van Gerp, and I'm a second year in the Higher Education Master's Program here at Florida State, and I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited to work with each of you. It's been an exciting first SGA meeting, I tell y'all what. But I'm looking forward to a good, strong year, even though it is quite unusual. We'll do it, and we'll do it good. So, nice to meet all of you. Can't wait to get to know you guys. And yeah, I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Anna. Dr. B, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Good evening, everyone. Brandon Bowden. I serve as Associate Vice President of Student Affairs. And really, I just wanted to say that we welcome you to the fall semester. Like Deshaun and Anna said, we are looking forward to working with all of you all. And it's good to be on here with you all tonight. No better group to hang out with on a Wednesday night. So welcome.
I love that. Thank you, guys. So before we move forward, I did want to appoint one more liaison. I kind of jumped over their name in my notes. So with that being said, I did want to appoint Senator Stinson as the OFSL liaison, so the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life. With that being said, we are now in the advisor announcements. So if Genesis, our press secretary, if you had anything you'd like to say, this is your opportunity. I don't know if she's still on the call.
I think she's shaking her head, so I think she's good.
She's good? All right. No worries. With that being said, is Roy on the call? Tyler, Roy, did you have anything you wanted to say? Our clerk. Hey, Roy.
Yeah, I didn't have much to say. However, it was definitely great being here with you guys tonight. I will be providing my quotes in the future, but due to the time, I do hope you all have a great day. Thanks.
Thank you, Roy. With that being said, Pro Tem Harmon, did you have any final words?
So I just wanted to welcome everybody back to the fall semester. It's fun. I've heard you guys did a lot during the summer. Sounded like some fun, I guess. But I'm glad to be back. Just with attendance and voting and stuff, just be a little patient with me. I'm getting back into it. And if I call your name out here, I'm not really calling you out or anything. I'm just trying to get the vote done so we can move on. But also I want to talk about the tabling the legislation a lot. I get it. Yes, we want to move on to things that we see as important and stuff like that. We want to advocate for our students and move on to legislation that is important. But I think the assumption that other legislation is more important than some other pieces is a little, I guess, wrong. I don't know, for lack of a better term, because everybody writes their legislation with the assumption that it is important, it is making an impact. So I don't think we should label certain pieces way more important than others. Yes, some pieces of the legislation affect a larger group on campus and whatnot. But also with the tabling, I think if we just get through it, we won't have to ever table it anymore, and we'll just have a short calendar. But I understand the reasonings for tabling certain things because some things are time sensitive. But other than that, we did a great job. We finished at about 11, and it's 11:11, so make a wish. And have a good night.
Thank you, Pro Tem Harmon. I just want to echo the same sentiments because we did table over 11 or 12 pieces of legislation. And in total, we had about 24 things that we had to get to. So we tabled about half, which is fine. I understand that we had a lot of business that kind of rolled over from the summer. And we did have a couple things that you guys as senators felt were very pertinent And so I definitely, I agree with it. You guys as senators have the right to do as you please. It's your jobs. But beyond that, I do look forward to our future meetings. I know I'm having a blast. I think that, I'm just honored to be here and honored to still continue to serve you all and serve the student body. And I want to say welcome back to Student Senate. Hopefully our meetings continue to run as they did today. I was very happy, that we had open comment. We had a couple of people come and speak, but we didn't have a very overwhelming amount. It wasn't an intimidating situation where we had 600, 700 people on the call. And so I did want to say I appreciate every single one of you guys and the work that you do in your off time and in your time as senators. And I did want to kind of extend like an arm, I guess, of friendship. I don't really know how to describe it, but if you guys ever have anything you'd like to talk about or anything that you need from me, please, please, please do not hesitate to reach out. Oh, there goes England and Harmon. But if you have anything you'd like to say, just let me know, and we can work on it. I can have conversations with you. Anything that's stressing you out, please just tell me, I'm here for you. But beyond that, I did want to say that I'll be sending out a finalized kind of list of committee assignments tomorrow because there was kind of, I think, 2 or 3 senators that ended up being moved. And then beyond that, for the Racial Inclusivity and Justice Ad Hoc, our Chair Waters is stepping down, and Chair Murcia, Senator Danielle Murcia, will be taking over in that capacity and will serve as the chair of that committee. And so I just wanted to allow everybody to kind of be informed and know what's going on. And just let you guys know that I'm pretty excited for the future of this semester. I truly, truly believe that we have so much great work to do and that we can do it. I'm sorry, sometimes I'm long-winded. I just am so excited to be here and just be here with you guys. So with that, I want to say have a great night. And again, if you guys ever need anything, please do not hesitate to reach out to me, whether it's through email or DM. And with that, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting at 11:13 p.m.? Senator Gonzalez.
So moved.
Amazing. It's adjourned. I hope you guys have an amazing night, guys. Oh, did we need to do roll call? Is that what we were saying? Final roll call. Yeah, sorry. I was pretty excited, guys. So Harmon, you can take it away with final roll call, but
wow, okay. I was in the same boat. I thought we were done. Okay, give me a second. My bad. Okay, here we go. Okay, there we go. All right, I'll try and do this as quickly as possible. Senator, oh, I gotta go to the top. Okay. Adamique Murcia McMillan. All right, Murcia. No, McMillan. McKay Recht Akonda Bateman. Okay, McKay Recht Akonda Bateman. I saw Akonda, I got Bateman. Okay. All right. Gertz, Little, Lavender, and Silva. All right, Little, you here? Senator Little? All right, there you are. Okay. Next is Fahey, Rossi, Mouget, Shaler. Got you, Mouget. Rossi, Fahey. I don't think Fahey was here and Rossi left early. Okay. Next, we have Wilkinson, Promozic, England, Wang. Wilkinson, Wang, Promozic. All right, I got you. Wang, I got you. All right. Next is Hazlett, Yanam, Hall, Shanahan, or Shanahan. I'm sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. Shanahan, okay, got you. Senator Hall and Hazlett. Oh, okay. I'm getting texts for some people that have already left. So, okay, Senator Ryan, Lecky, Sam, Gonzalez, Lecky, Senator Sam. You here? You can text me if I didn't get you. All right, got you, Sam. Denton, Martin, Adams, Pendleton. Adams, Martin, Pendleton, got you guys. Abstin, Sohos, Diaz, Ferguson. All right, Ferguson, Abstin, Sohos, got you guys. Mayman, Dean, Pedroso, Ascanio. Mayman, Dean, Pedroso, got you guys. Ascanio, Rudolph, Medley Nera, she texted me. Darldeek, you're here. Tooks and Ross. Rudolph, got you. All right. Tooks, Ross, Chabot, Kalink. Alvarez, I'm calling you right now. So Alvarez, Lewis, Waters, Stinson. Alvarez, Waters, Stinson. Right, Stinson, okay, ended there. Gonzalez, Robert, and Rudd, and Kill. All right, Rudd, I got you. All right, that is all.
Okay. And before we all leave, I just want to say one thing. Well, two things. I want to say one. I think it's a pretty cool fact that Jake Alvarez brought up to me was a veto has never been overturned in the past like 17 plus years. I think that's pretty awesome. You know, we made history low key, so that's cool. And then second thing is if anybody wants to kind of take over those pieces of legislation that are sitting on the calendar, just let me know. And then, you know, how I did the caretaker, sponsor for Bill 93, we can kind of do kind of a similar process to it for those pieces of legislation if anybody wants to kind of take those upon themselves. If nobody wants to, that's completely fine as well. But I just want to make those 2 points. With that, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting at 11:19? Senator Abstin.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting at 11:20?
I so moved.
Amazing. Thank you guys. Have a great night. This time we can all go. Bye. I know I'm tired.
Bye, y'all.